We should be seeing these runners get underway very shortly. Well, they'll run as fast as they can to the Black Magic Shop. What are you hoping to see when we get there, Files?
Well, you know me. I always like early nuke just because why not? But, useful spells include warp, fast, any one of those things.
Yeah, generally what we're looking for when we get here is we want an AoE spell. And we've got Ice 2, which is a pretty good one.
Yeah, I'll take Ice 2. Probably one of the better ranked level 2 spells. Oh, and Heal 3 in a position learnable by the Red Mage, too. That's very nice to see early.
Exit also at level 1 is one of those good utility spells that makes a couple things easier.
Oh yeah, well not even just easier, just straight up faster. And it's almost like we're trying to go fast in these runs. So we'll be real happy to see a spell like Exit. Not quite as good as Warp, doesn't have the same flexibility, but still useful in a lot of areas for shaving seconds off your time.
Yeah, so if you're new to the Final Fantasy Randomizer, one of the things you're going to see in these early fights is because of the experience bonus, they will level quickly, much quicker than in the vanilla game. So they will be jumping up several levels their first few fights. We have no heals for sale, and we have no save items for sale in the Corneria item shop.
That's a little rough. Yeah, the only thing guaranteed to be in the first item shop of the game is Pure to get rid of poison and Softs to get rid of stone, which are put there intentionally so you can't be totally screwed if the randomizer throws a lot of dangerous enemies outside. And no save items, no heal potions means it's going to be a potentially rough and dangerous trek up to the Temple of Fiends.
Now, also, we saw quickly out of Will something that's worth noting. These runners will be... Oh my goodness. They did get my seed from earlier. Imps have Blizzard.
That's the Final Fantasy Randomizer right there for you. Will had a little bit better of a run out to the Temple of Fiends. So this looks like a pretty nice encounter table. A couple fights early, and then a nice long run.
So one of the things that's going on here is this is the script shuffle item, and we have early TNT found.
What? TNT? First chest TNT. I love it.
The script shuffle causes monsters to have things that they wouldn't normally have. So for this case, we've seen the imps with Blizzard, and that obviously not something they would normally have. We also have skills shuffled and status effects shuffled. So you could go into this fight against this innocent-looking creep, and then all of a sudden he death touches you.
Yeah, that's a little rough. Now we see Edgeworth making use of the exit spell there. It's little optimizations like that that you use exit and warp for that can save you seconds off your race.
Yeah, seconds here, seconds there, and it really adds up over the course of the run, because you already see the difference here. Will got into an extra fight, and he lost his black. He lost two characters. He had to reset because he didn't do the same thing.
Oh, the imps! They're so dangerous. Well, meanwhile, Edgeworth taking out Garland, he saves a princess and gets a fancy loot in exchange for his troubles.
Antique loot. Passed down many generations.
I'm going to assume that loot is just horribly out of tune. But Will know that he has to pick up the TNT, but knows that he doesn't have to bother with going to those chests in the upper left, so he'll be saving himself a little time on that one.
Well, you don't have to, but you do need some money early on. So he might go for it anyways. We'll see.
We're seeing Edgeworth probably going to skip out on checking Matoya's cave until he can come back with save items. Take advantage of save scumming his way across the map to avoid fights. But he'll definitely be coming back to check it. But in the meantime, he's got to make his way across this overworld, and since it's the randomizer, literally any one of those enemies could have some horrible party-wiping spell, so it's always nerve-wracking to walk to the Provoca pirate town without a save item, knowing that any battle could be your last.
Yeah, my description of script shuffle is, do you want imps with nuke? Because this is how you get imps with nuke. And when they've got Blizzard at this level, it doesn't really make a difference.
Yeah, level 2 nuke. You summoned it, Trenton. I love it.
I'll take that. That's low enough level to be very useful to these runners.
Yeah, Red Mage looking pretty good so far here.
Yeah, this means that for early game, Edge gets to double up on his AoE magic.
We'll see if the pirates have anything scary. Poison Touch, annoying, but not particularly scary.
Yeah, this is one of the worst fights that can roll something nasty because you are locked into you must do this fight at this time. And if they're nasty enough, the only thing you can do is hop a hike up to the Peninsula of Power and hope for the best.
Yeah. Well, in this case, they have access to Nuke and Ice too, so pirates have some of the lowest base hit points of any monster in the game. They only have 6 health in the vanilla game, so even if they roll, 200% health, that's still not very much, so...
Yeah, you just have to go before them.
Ooh, cabins, the housing markets in the Final Fantasy universe has definitely gone up. We'll see Edge pick up a few cabins would be my guess, and he'll probably be hoping that tents are cheap and available in Elfland, but we'll have to see.
Well, I have to say this in response to chat hoping that Slab is guarded by wizards. It's gonna be a while before we would find that out.
Well, not that
they got
long.
early TNT and they're not going to Marsh.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true. I don't know. We could see if Will feels like he needs to gamble, we could see some insane early Marsh Cave Ordeals play, which would be super hype.
It's always interesting to see runners go off on different strategies.
Much like other randomizers, it's really the routing choices you make in this game that kind of really define your overall strategy. Question from chat, where was TNT located? It was literally the very first chest in Temple of Fiends.
That is a very good amount of gold, and the tail. I would want that out.
Yeah, I would too.
The tail not as important for right now, but that gold, that buys all my spells.
Yeah, definitely. Edgeworth just not caring enough about his poison party members to save them. That's precious menuing time, and also I think he didn't have access to Piers.
Well, you mentioned it earlier. Pures and softs will always be for sale in Corneria, and then one other shop in the game will have softs for sale. So, considering your odds, it's usually best if you walk out with a couple of those.
Oh yeah, for sure. And he'll be sailing right by Corneria, so he'll be able to duck in there if he really wants to get him. Ooh, this imp fight could be rough for Edge. Wow, not a single one of them cast Blizzard. Oh, wow, that was lucky.
Has he even seen that? Or was it just Will?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know.
Chat, does somebody want to confirm that for me? I'm not sure Edge knows that.
I was busy staring at the red mage in the battle screen. Red mages are awesome. They got the hat. And access to Nuke in this seed. And heal 3. Alright, we'll see if he decides to pick up Piers. He does.
It's also a chance to save at this inn to save the items you got and not lose them. That's
also true.
A good thing.
Is he going to even bother reviving that black mage is the question. He might not. Doesn't look like he is. Oh wow, he's not even going to Elfland. He says, I've got Nuke and Exit and Heal 3. That is all I care about.
This is the same thing I would do. Of course, Edge is better than me, so I'm kind of copying him. But what I'll do is route my way to Crescent Lake, going to the south of Elfland, and that way I can swing from that Southport and get in there. So I don't know. That's not a terrible play,
but you do get far less frequent encounters on the open ocean than you do walking. The seed is not great for the encounter table at the beginning, and with how expensive tents and cabins are, Edge might not be willing to take the jog, but I would have thought that checking out the magic shops and seeing if there were cheap tents or something else available in Elfland would have been worth the jog, but it's certainly not an awful play. Like, I can see where he's going with it.
Yeah, now we have not seen tents for sale yet in the first 2 item shops. We might possibly in Elfland. And you also want to make sure you've stocked up on heals before you go to Crescent Lake, because I believe it's 2 shops in the game will not have heals. So it's very unpleasant if you're planning to grind in the volcano and don't have enough heals.
Yes. WillBloodworth also... Yeah. WillBloodworth also walked out the tail and got the similar imp encounter, but luckily his black mage managed to nuke him.
These blue pirates are also very nice gold in the early game.
Yeah, having skipped so much, his party is going to be a little bit underleveled. It wouldn't surprise me if Edge took a couple of fights outside of Crescent, just to see, if he can get his party, at least his black belts, up to right around level 12 or so. With Nuke on his red mage and all the healing spells available, Volcano's not quite so scary.
I love it.
But we have not found a revive spell yet either, which could be trouble.
I love it when I can call what a good runner does. Light 3, that's okay. It's not jump up and down and celebrate that you got Light 3 there, but there's life.
And it's red mage learnable too, which is amazing. So the hat strategies, as always, Triton, pay off.
Also, wall available, which is basically a magic ribbon.
Yep, although in that position, the white mage will only ever be able to learn that. Even with the tail, the red wizard can't learn that spell, I believe.
Oh, and Temper, we did notice that the first time. That is also very good in the black magic shop.
Yeah, level 3, very, very acceptable level of magic here. In fact, there's been a couple standout spells in almost every level so far. Let's see what's in 4. Oh, Fade. Are you kidding me?
And this is exactly the way you want it, with the way this magic system in Final Fantasy works, is spread them out over those levels. In an ideal scenario, you're looking at like only having 8 spells, and it's 1 at every level.
Oh, dirt cheap tents too. This is the dream right here. Man, depending on where we get our items and how the routing works out, this has the potential to be a fast seed given the spell selection available to us.
Yeah, they will have no problem chewing through a lot of AoE fights.
Alright, Pro Ring available in Elfland. Pretty medium high price.
And one of the other subtle things that they will do is check the item shops. Obviously, they needed to get tents here. But the other thing is they've got to keep an eye open for the bottle. It will be in one of the item shops in the world, so you don't want to have to go searching for all of them to find it.
Yeah, especially if you're going to be in a city picking up equipment anyway, you might as well check it. Wait, is Edge doing what I think he's doing? Tell me it's not so, Triton.
Well, he doesn't have the canoe yet, so I'm not sure what you're thinking.
Oh yeah, that's right. He hasn't gone. Did he forget? What is he doing?
Does he know that he doesn't have the canoe yet?
Oh no, Edge! No!
He just found out!
Oh man, this is the best day ever. So, for those of you who don't know, you do need the canoe to travel across river tiles, and apparently Edge forgot. He was so excited about going to Ordeals on a race he knew I was commenting that he forgot he didn't need the canoe. Oh man, I could die tonight and I would die a happy man. I don't need anything for Christmas, Triton. You can just send me the Twitch clip of this moment and I'll be good.
Zara, how could that be commentator's curse? We didn't say anything.
Oh man.
I just said he didn't have canoe yet. Does he know that?
Well, apparently the answer to that question was nope. Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, who hasn't? I mean, it happens to everybody at some point. You get out of the starter area with the TNT, and you know Ice Cave is incentivized, and you're heading to Crescent Lake, and you're like, you know what, I want to do Ice Cave first, and you get up to the mouth of the river, and then you forget you don't have the canoe.
Well, Edge
Doing it at Ordeals is a bit longer of a walk, but still good stuff.
Edge just got some valuable information. He did a total reset, which tells him the first monster on the encounter table in this area is that giant. Now, when I'm in this area, I'm hoping that I find out that that's an EXP'd.
Yeah, that's always a nice trick to have. Being able to master the encounter table and kind of manipulate it to ways that advantage you is definitely the hallmark of a good runner of this game. And we have our bottle for sale in Crescent Lake.
See,
so
now
that's a
there
good
you
nugget
could
for
call
the runners to
commentator's
tuck away.
curse.
I'm sorry, Trenton, what was that?
I said there you could call commentator's curse, because I did talk about the bottle.
I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can curse them. All right, now we're going to see what the shop has that Edge skipped. Nothing too exciting. Fog 2, I guess, okay in level 5.
Ice 3 is
available.
actually very good.
Does more damage than Nuke against one of these scarier unrunnables. Oh, here's your Peds there, Trenton.
Yeah, this is one of those encounters has a lot of experience available, so they will gladly pick that up. Pick up the experience.
They are hitting pretty hard though.
Gold bracelets and silver bracelets are for sale in Melmond as well.
All right, so we've got our pro rings in Elfland and our gold bracelets in Melmond. That's not too bad. Wow, Edge got super lucky and those Pete's did not kill his black belt.
It looks like their evade is pretty high. So these
those
are not friendly.
Those are some nice nuke rolls though, so he's going to be picking up that delicious experience. Worth noting that Will did check Melman, but elected not to quick dip into maybe the top floor of Earth Cave. That's not good or bad, just pointing it out. It is a bit of a trek there and back, so I totally understand why he might have skipped it.
Edge has got some more Peds.
The real question is, can he survive their... he got real lucky. The first spell on rotation that these Peds got was Dark, which will let him get those nuke casts out.
Yeah, not
those
taking
Peds
any
were
damage.
meleeing his black belt for 70 plus damage. So yeah, this encounter table definitely favorable to a little bit of grinding early on in Crescent.
So we haven't talked about the Black Belt's defense yet. Do you want to spend some time on that?
Oh, sure. So the Black Belt is an interesting class. The developer's intention was that the Black Belt would have an absorb rating, or basically this game's armor level, equal to its level. So at lower levels, a Black Belt at level 4 would only have 4 absorb, which is a pretty low number. But the thought being that as his martial prowess grew, as his levels went higher, that his absorb or his defense would go up accordingly. You also have the option of just straight up equipping a piece of armor on him. So if you put a gold bracelet on him, his defense or absorb will be pretty high, as the gold bracelet does give that advantage. However, there is a bug in this game such that even if you have a piece of armor equipped, if you level up, your level is reset to, or rather your absorb is set to your level. So we can use that to our advantage, for example, by equipping a ribbon on a black belt, which will give him all the immunity benefits of a ribbon, and then if he gets to level up screen, or a level up, his absorb will be set to his level, so you have all the benefits of a ribbon, but none of the disadvantages.
So Will just got introduced to the very high damage of the EXPs.
Yeah, and those giants that we saw also must have rolled up higher attack levels too, because they normally hit reasonably hard, but they're definitely hitting harder than they would normally.
So what we're seeing these runners do is get some basic levels, because with the Marsh Cave skip, they're behind in levels where they would be at this point in the game. You get a few here, even a little extra with the bonuses against the Peds. They're affectionately known as EXPs because they're better than average experience. They get these levels, and then they're in better position to go into the next dungeon, which will most likely be Volcano for both of them. However, if somebody feels like gambling, the Ice Cave is nearby.
So it'll be interesting to see where these runners choose to go from here. I have a feeling they'll both head into the volcano, even though it's not an incentivized location. They have to clear it eventually anyway, and there's potentially a really good level grinding spot there.
You mean there's several?
That's true. Well, two big ones, the Agama location and potentially the Red D location. Fires are okay. Edge, where are you going? Oh, he's tossing encounters, alright. Meanwhile, we got Will also doing the... was that an executive producer take Wolf? Oh, I don't know what that was, but good
like
stuff.
Law and Order, done.
I guess. So we got Edge doing another reset. We're going to see what's in the volcano here.
So there's several fights we're looking at and a whole lot of treasure chests. He's going to go right for the big room full of them. These red gargoyles always make me nervous. They have the tendency to roll some of the nastiest stuff in my seeds.
Yeah, honestly, any enemy at any point could throw out a crazy spell at you. So that's why you see the runners saving a lot and not taking a whole lot of chances. So you can see Edge just throwing out the nuke on this Grey Worm, not wanting to risk any shenanigans or nonsense.
Yeah, that is a runnable fight, so he's able to get away from it. But one of the things he might want to do is just test the waters. How tough are they? If I needed to come back here and kill a lot of these, would I be able to? Gold bracelet's a good find.
Yeah, that's really nice. He could throw that on his black belt to minimize potion use if he decides to grind here.
Opal shield will go great on his fighter, and a ribbon will go great on anybody.
Wow. So yeah, pretty much everything he could possibly want for a nice grind in here. We'll have to see how grindable some of these other encounters are, but... So for those who are not familiar, I mentioned it a little bit earlier when we were talking about armor and absorb, but the ribbon is one of the best defensive items in the game. There are 3 of them in the vanilla game, which means there are 3 of them randomly shuffled around in these treasure chests. And the ribbon gives you immunity against all the possible attacks in the game. Well, theoretical immunity anyway. Halves the damage of all damage spells and makes it near impossible to get hit by instant kill spells, though still statistically possible.
I think it's 3 of 256.
That is correct.
Yeah. Which it definitely happens, and if you run enough of these, you're going to run into that. So these fires seem to have pretty decent evade, but not so bad on their HP. I'm sorry, not evade, absorb. Zeus Gauntlet was a good utility pickup, by the way. It's a free Lightning 2 spell.
Yeah, I mean, we've got quite a bit of attack magic available in the spell set already, but never hurts to have a little extra free one. Alright, so Edge making good use of that exit spell, as he already has earlier in the seed. And then he's going to go and probably check these other chests in Volcano. Exit out again. And then begin his descent into the fiery balls of the volcano.
Yeah, that saves the ribbon, so even if he takes a wipe, he will still have that ribbon. And I'm not sure if you got to this when you were discussing the black belt, but you equip that ribbon on them, and even though his defense will adjust with his level, he'll still get the benefits of the ribbon.
Yep, although with that gold bracelet on too, his armor will be set much higher than his level. But every single time he levels, if he wants to get that, absorb level back, the way to get around that bug is to view the armor screen again. So that will reset his absorb value to whatever his armor should be based on what's equipped.
Oh, Paralists have Toxic. How about that?
Truly, they are perilous. Wow.
I mean, they're not fun or friendly in vanilla anyways.
No, they have fire too in vanilla, don't they? Ugh. Gross. Well, this is going to be a situation where Edge's party will be a little bit better equipped to deal with it than Will's will, because Edge has 2 sources of revive, whereas unfortunately Will's only source of revive is the white mage. Question in chat, how does dead body placement affect hit percentages? It's a great question. So in this game, the person in the front of the party has a 50% chance of being the recipient of a attack. The second person has a 25% chance. And then the third and fourth split the remaining 25%, so it ends up being 12.5 for the 2 of them. When the first person in the lead is dead, any attacks that would go to them are simply rerolled until a legitimate hit is able to be made. So if you really want your back 2 members to be protected, you would put somebody in the very front, a dead body in the second position, and so forth.
Will now is getting into the big room full of treasure, and he sees a gold bracelet and wants it.
Yeah, he'll be real happy to find that ribbon also.
You're always happy to find a ribbon, even if you've already got 2 of them. You're still happy to find a ribbon.
That is so true. You definitely always want to be a pretty princess in this game. Alright, so outside of the ribbon and gold bracelet, which were nothing to sneeze at, no progression or required items on the top of Volcano, so we'll see if Edge decides to take a preview of the Agama. Elects to spend a charge of life on his black mage here. Interesting. He might be wanting to use those nuke charges, perhaps.
Or ice too. Usually effective against these. Looks like they're over 260. So I think it's between 260 and 310 is what we know so far.
Alright, so that he did die, I think, before he even acted, so we don't know yet if the Agamas have anything scary, but they seem grindable-ish. Still too early to tell, though. And Will discovers the toxic Paralisks. Oh boy, he got it a lot worse. Luckily that Fade Charge taking care of business over there.
Well, and he's still got life, so I guess his plan is to revive instead of
well,
reset.
I think what happened here is that those Paralisks forgot about Dre. Nothing, Trin? Nothing for that gem that I just threw at you there?
You know, sometimes you just take me too off guard. Masamune, on the other hand, will take a lot of enemies off guard, and Edge just picked it up.
Yeah, the Masamune, best offensive weapon in the game, equipable by any class. Much like the ribbon, you are always excited to see the Masamune.
And that also does something a little interesting when we talk about the incentive item chests. There is a small pool of items that can be in an incentivized chest. Masamune is one of them. So when you take that off, the progression item odds have gone from 2 in 6 to 2 in 5. Just like that.
That is correct. And also the having already found one ribbon, just because of the way this is a little inside baseball, real specific knowledge, but because of the way the chests are filled in this game, if a ribbon is going to be in an incentivized chest, it's always pulled from the very first possible chest it could be in. And the chest logic, the way it's... Oh wow, is that poison on the Agamas there?
Yes, that is officially our something nasty on Agamas.
Ooh, even with the ribbon, I'm not sure if I would want to grind on poison Agamas. That's pretty rough.
No, that's where you check the red dragon.
Yep. Boy, did Edge check the second Agama trap tile chest? I think he was planning on checking the red D chest and was going to head back down. Oh no. Not the ruby. No.
Okay, well, for those curious, that just meant that Ice Cave is almost certainly the play that runners are going to make from here. Because Ruby is one of the 6 items in that incentivized list, so
as is the
we've just
tail.
gone to very high probability.
Yeah, I think we're pretty much out of... I'll quick finish up that ribbon thing I was talking about. So since the incentivized chest, if it's going to put a ribbon in an incentivized chest, it will grab it from the very first available slot in the chest fill order logic. So Edge deciding not to grind either the red D or the Agamas, and is just going to get out of here.
He ran from the red dragons, so that was interesting rather than test its damage first.
So yeah, but the essential point of my mini speech there is that the odds of the slab and the crown being in Ordeals and Ice Cave are incredibly high right now.
Yeah, basically we've got Adamant, Slab, Crown, and Floater that can still be there. And, I don't know about Ribbon. I'll yield to you on that one, but I think Ribbon can still be there.
Ribbon's still possible. If the ribbons were shuffled very early in the seed, the ribbon they found in Volcano might not have been the one that would have been pulled by the logic, but odds are pretty good. And wow, Carrie's got Stun Touch. Or no, not Stun Touch. She had cast Hold before.
This is funny. This fight you tend to take a little for granted because as we've all kind of gotten into the whole grind a couple extra levels along the way here, sometimes 30 of them, you don't tend to take Carrie too seriously, and then all of a sudden you get here on level, and remember, she is a fiend.
That was 400 damage nuke. Wow, this Carrie means business.
Yeah, and she's attacking quite seriously as well.
Wow, and she rolled up hit points. Good lord. That had to have been close to max hit point Carrie right there. Woof.
Which, by the way, not sure we mentioned this, but enemy stats are up to 300%. So if you have something that has, for example, 500 HP in vanilla, it could be 1500 HP in this.
That was a lot of math you just threw at me right there, Trin.
I'm sorry, didn't mean to overwhelm you. It is
My head hurts.
Math after midnight can be evil.
So Edge threw away the first two encounters on that table that we knew, and then he's got a nice long walk here. Alright, Edge doing or rather WillBloodworth doing the same thing on his Volcano trek here, and now he's probably going to dive back in. So it'll be interesting to see what Will decides to do. I don't think he's seen the Agamas yet.
Now, by the way, just personal routing choices. Do you go straight into an Agama grind, or do you go check the red dragon first?
I will always check the Agamas first. I almost always take the preview fight on the first Agama trap tile on that floor. And I kind of go from there. It really depends on what my spell selection is and what my items are, you know, how comfortable I feel, and also how high the scaling can go. With 300% scaling, any monster can potentially be kind of nightmarish, so having that access to that information early is always nice just for the sake of planning.
A great question in chat we didn't address yet was walking on the lava, and the reason they do that is they will not get into an encounter while they're on the lava, and it doesn't advance the counter for their next fight. And now Will has found out that Agamas have poison, so I'm expecting something to flash up on his screen anytime now.
Dun dun.
Pretty much.
Well, we'll have to see. I have a feeling he's going to spend a Fade Charge here, just so he doesn't risk seeing it again. Oh, nope, he's opting to piece out of there. Wow, wait, is that Stun Touch on the Agamas too? Did we miss that?
I don't know, it killed his black belt, so...
I could have swore I saw Stun. I could be wrong. But on the plus side, he was not completely wiped out by an unlucky poison roll and Stun Touch or anything like that, so Will very aware that Agamas were not to be messed with. And meanwhile, we got Edge heading over to Ice Cave, which is incentivized.
And that's no surprise given what we now know, because two things are going on here. One, it's the closest. Three things, because I'm adding one mid-sentence here, and I could have just not numbered them and nobody would know. It's the closest. It's got a larger number of chests than Ordeals does, which ties into the fact not only could something be in the incentivized chests, we just know that something will be, but something could be in the other chests as well. So you could actually get both items here and be in go mode.
Yeah, that is certainly true.
And when I say both items, there are 2 items required to be retrieved from chests. 3 if you count TNT. But you must find crown, you must find the slab, and you must find the floaters. So again, it's 3, and I should try and count before I've listed them.
I'm telling you, man, it's that math. It's that late night math. Just gets you every time.
Don't math after midnight. I guess that's the lesson here. That is true. Edge does have the rubies, so if we don't have the floater after all this, you could actually go to Titan's Cave, get the rod, go to Earth Cave. But it would be so likely that one of the major items is in Ordeals if you didn't get it out of here that would be a pretty easy play. And these mages are not something Edge wants to mess with, but they want to mess with him.
Yeah, they definitely have an annoying ambush rate, unfortunately. So Will is taking those chests and... Oops, sorry, that's my phone. I forgot to mute it. Will is taking those chests and is also saying shine it to those Agamas and is going to head up and see what the Red D's got in store. Oh, Geist have poison. Wow, very poisonous seed tonight. Oh, and the Spectres have thunder. Oh, wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is what happens when you let Czar roll your seeds.
Oh my god, the horror. The horror. Is he going to get out? Oh, okay. The Harp 4 comes out.
Alright, call your shot early here, Files. Would you duck out of ice and go to Ordeals now?
Oh, you're already here. You gotta see this out. The encounter or the formation of enemies that you see here, he's already mostly passed at this point of the ice cave. So you just press on.
Looks like Will's gonna try and grind these red dragons at least for a little bit.
Wow, that is a little ridiculous right there.
It doesn't look like their HP is that bad, but they are hitting roughly the equivalent of an Amtrak freight train.
Yeah, even the gold bracelet will not stop a speeding train. You need Superman for that. Alright, I think it's the moment of decision here for Will. We're going to see if he wants to get a few levels here at this Red D or just head out. Oh, he's still here.
And that has been a big part of how he's gotten here, is he's been willing to put the time in to level that black belt up. But it might also just be, you know, you need a certain amount of levels before you feel safe going against carry, because you do not want to have to redo all this.
Oh no. I mean, with a nuke and fade that Edge had access to, he didn't. I mean, even he barely made it through carry. And unfortunately, Will has one less nuke caster, since he's got a thief instead of a red mage, so he could be in for an unfortunate surprise if he gets to carry without having grinded very much. And there's not a lot of great grinding choices in the Volcano, unfortunately. Nothing too exciting in the Ice Cave so far for Edge here. Although we have yet to check the incentivized chest that's located in this dungeon yet, so something good's coming.
And almost half the battle here is checking the eye and seeing what that fight is like, because Edge's levels are lower than they normally are at this stage of the game. Hey, Opal Bracelet, that'll go great on your fighter. Or knight when you upgrade class change.
Well, technically Opal Bracelet is equipable by anybody. It's the Opal armor. There you go.
It was the gauntlet.
I'm all about the minutia and semantics, Trenton.
Hey, there's a lot of gold.
Yeah, an ice sword not too bad. Second best sword that the red mage can use. All right, time to see what the eye's got here.
Wouldn't it be third best?
Oh yeah, that's true. Master Moon, Sun Sword, Ice Sword. Well played, sir. Well played.
All right.
I tip my red hat to you, sir.
Math after midnight. There's Floater. Vanilla. Czar.
Is this even randomized? I demand a reroll.
Czar. So this has been a little bit of a scary ice cave in that there are things that can wipe you out even after you get some levels. So it's an interesting call, but he does have that exit and he will use it.
Yeah, he just pieces out. Interesting. So he's deciding not to grind. He decided not to grind in the volcano, and he's not grinding in ice cave. So that is number 1 and number 2, like kind of best grindable locations. But since there's a high likelihood that we are going to end up having to go to ordeals for one of our 2 required items, he might check out, the zombie dragons that are in ordeals. Those are definitely grindable. There's still a lot of places left for him to pick up more experience.
So hey, we're 40 minutes in. Let's run through a little bit of what we've seen so far. First
Good
of all,
idea.
let's mention our runners are Will and Edge. This is the first matchup in a best of 3 between them. Their forced classes tonight were Black Belt and Black Mage. We found TNT in the very first chest at Temple of Fiends, the floater we just picked up in its vanilla location in the Ice Cave. We picked up the Masamune, a Ribbon, and a Ruby in Volcano, although we now know Ruby will not be required in this seed. And the bottle is for sale in Crescent Lake. Those are the major highlights that we have found so far other than spells.
Other highlights include tons of enemies having tons of horribly awful party-destroying spells.
Everything a viewer that wants to see the runners get trolled could ask for.
Yeah, if you love the Final Fantasy Randomizer, this is a seed for you, that's for sure. Meanwhile, we've got Will slowly working up the grind here. Oop, Edge going to Volcano. Is he coming back to grind? Or is he worrying about that chest we thought he might have missed?
Leave no chest behind.
I think he got them all. No, he's setting up for a grind. Is he going to grind on fires?
That could be. Edge has certainly proven willing to do that over time. When nothing else is showing that it's very forgiving, he'll come back and he'll just get it where he can get it.
Huh. That's a surprising choice for me, because I would have thought that he, with ordeals being incentivized and so many other required items being in that pool, I would have thought he would have gone to ordeals to check that out. But this is by no means a terrible play. Fires, as we pointed out, and Trenton did mention, they were maybe a little high in absorb, but pretty low on hit points. So I think with the gold bracelet and the Masamune on this black belt, he'll be able to make short work of him.
And that's worth noting that usually we would just have a barehanded black belt, but the Masamune is going to outdamage to, I believe, level 32 when he gets the bonus hits. So below that,
it's actually right around level. It's right around level 28, 27, I believe, where the barehanded fists outrank the Masamune.
Okay. In any event, he can use Masamune for more damage early on.
Yeah, most definitely. Sorry, I didn't mean to be all naysaying on you there, Trenton. I threw you under the bus there.
No, it's fair enough. Hey, Chad had a good question. What level would you start a solo black belt grind?
Just in general, I guess it really depends on what you're grinding on. In a case like this, we could see the fires here have a kind of a reasonable amount of attack damage, but your black belt is going to start one-shotting them pretty soon. Oh wow, they have paralysis attack.
Now that could change things a little.
Oh, I think Edge is probably going to get the H out of here. The thing with paralysis attack is, much like the spells and skills, the paralysis is shuffled around various enemies. So the ribbon is not sufficient defense against that paralysis attack. Edge is going to stick it out. I think he's not like his grind prospects. He's going to keep the red mage alive just in case one of them gets paralyzed, maybe?
Well,
but to
increase his odds.
Yeah,
By the way,
definitely.
Will's going to take on Carrie. We'll see how this goes.
Yeah, this is an important thing to watch over here because, as we know, Carrie was pretty tough and Edge barely got through it, and that's having twice the amount of nuke charges that Will has access to. So this is a pretty pivotal moment for Will here.
Will got to a key level. He got to 21. So that gives him more attacks. So he does have a better level black belt for this fight than Edge did.
Yeah, Edge's black belt spent 7 hits. Pretty good defense there. He must have thrown the gold bracelet on that black belt. I won't be afraid to admit I missed where exactly he put it, but that high defense item must be on WillBloodworth's black belt there.
And making use of this heal helmet for some little what I like to call maintenance heals.
Oh, bad luck on the nuke rolls for Will.
That up. And if there's one person for carry to stun, that was a good choice.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that one. Oh no, carry cast fast on herself. Oh, that's so scary. That's going to double the amount of hits that she does, and that's going to turn her into another freight train. Oh man, I'm so worried for Will right now.
Now he needs to hope she casts a spell.
Yeah, if she attacks his black belt, he could be in real trouble. Oh no. I'm sorry, Will, I cursed you.
Commentator's curse, thank you.
Oh no. Well, come on, it was pretty statistically 25%. That's not crazy. Oh, this is tough.
Chat, somebody please have that clipped.
Oh, 14 hits. That's the danger of a boss casting fast. It doubles the amount of hits. Oh, the quadruple X! Are you kidding me? WillBloodworth with the plays. That was incredible. Wow.
And please clip that as well.
Oh, so for those of you that don't know, quadruple X is a spell that if I believe you have 300 or less hit points remaining, it will instantly kill you.
So
oh, wow.
He had carry low to be able to pull that off.
That is one of the most clutch things I have ever seen in this tournament. That was incredible. Wow.
He got through it. He is out of the volcano. We do know he needs to go to the ice cave, but will he gamble and go to Ordeals next? Or ice cave because it is closer.
Whew. Yeah, that would have been incredibly terrible for Will if he had taken a wipe there. He would have lost a good 15 minutes at least. But in the meantime, we see Edge. He's working on his black belt grind here. He's got that Masamune on, taking these firefights. And you can see, I mean, he's getting hit for 36 and 44 damage. I mean, every single one of those hits is sucking a heal potion out of him. I mean, that fire right there just hit him for 67. I mean, that's quite a bit of health.
Yeah, if you went through a bad cycle where you got stunned and critted, this is, I don't want to overstate it and say high-risk strat, but let's call it medium risk.
I think high risk is a pretty apt thing, because if he gets stun locked, he's not going to be able to eat a lot of those fire attacks. I find it very interesting. We're gonna have to definitely ask Edge about this at the end of the race, about his decision to grind here. Man, I still can't believe that carry fight. That was ridiculous. All right, so we really need Will really needs to head toward the ice cave. Having access to the floater before anything else gives him the airship, which is going to really speed his overworld movement around. And once Edge gets out of this volcano, he is just going to be screaming toward Ordeals, most likely, to pick up what is probably the crown or the slab. And then he'll probably be one item away from go mode at that point.
Now, between them, I would hope for the slab. I would hope for the crown, because that limits the locations that slab can be in. Whereas if you get slab first, that means you might have to check every non-locked chest for the rest of the game to find crown.
Yeah, that is correct. Now, it is also worth pointing out that even though they have access to Masamune, the best weapon in the game, and one ribbon, you really don't feel comfortable, especially at 300% scaling. You really don't feel comfortable until you have at least 2 ribbons. And wow, Edge just got out of a stun lock there that could have been fatal. Oh my gosh, 32 hit points, wow!
How long can you risk this?
Oh, Edge, you're killing me. Oh, is he going back for more? He is, wow.
Healing up. But he's low on heals, so this is not going to support him much longer. In fact, he just healed up to get out safely.
Yeah, I think that's a really smart choice. It'd be interesting to see, is Will... Alright, Will is heading toward Ice Cave, it looks like. Yep, so he will be... now, assuming he doesn't get Poison Thunder destroyed by those ridiculous fight formations in the Ice Cave, he'll be on his way toward a floater. In a depressingly vanilla location.
Now, here's a really interesting question to me. Because of where you are, and if you want to go to Ordeals, which is what I assume, would you fly there in the airship, or are you going to sail the boat?
Yeah, it's rough. I mean, the advantage of sailing the boat there is that you have, you can take the canoe right on the river there. It's pretty quick. But the time you spend, futzing around getting to and from the ship, it's, it might be a break even. Especially with the way this encounter table is, where you can throw away 2 fights and get a pretty decent walk. It would probably be a wash.
How about it, chat? Would you take the airship or the sea ship?
Either way, you're taking a ship. The nice thing about having taking the airship is that you can take the airship back out and kind of already be ready to go. Whereas if you take the regular sea ship, you have to go back to it and then go back to the airship.
Of course, your other alternative is to fly around the world and collect all the free chests.
Also true. I have somebody in chat mentioning that we need to use the land ship. Somebody ban that guy. Kappa. So Edgeworth taking your advice there, Triton, picking up all the so-called free chests, all the chests you have access to once you get the airship.
Let's be fair, I said that once I saw him do it. Can't take credit for something I didn't say.
I was trying to help you out, man. It doesn't make it any less of a good idea. Interesting. Electing not to go to the Zardia Islands? Or is he going there from this direction? Alright, that's fair. Alright, this cluster of islands here has the last grouping of free chests. Checking here before ordeals is a pretty good idea. Who knows, you might find another ribbon or something else.
Now, he has the tail, so class change is on the table. But we normally don't do that with a black belt this low a level if you're planning to grind, because of the magic defense bonus.
Yeah, that is correct. For some crazy reason, unclass upgraded black belts, so there's a floater picked up for WillBloodworth there. Unclass upgraded black belts gain magic resistance at a much higher rate than their class upgraded master version. So you'll find a lot of people waiting to class upgrade until they've leveled the black belt up a little bit higher, just for that extra amount of safety.
Hey, Will's finding out how fun Ice Cave is.
Oh, jeez. Oh, God. Thunder, is he going to see the poison? Oh, no. The Harm 4 got out. See, I'm telling you, those undead forgot about Dre. Shouldn't have.
To answer Ice Blue's question, we had early TNT, but that doesn't actually answer whether or not Marsh is required.
Yeah, early TNT, Tail, and Mass Immune, actually. Floater was in Ice Cave, but we still got incentive ordeals left.
Still missing the crown, still missing the slab as far as our required items. There's several other items they would like to find. Opal bracelets on that list. Another ribbons on that list. Frost dragons have Blizzard. Czar.
Yeah, this Ice Cave is so vanilla. We got Floater in its vanilla location. Frost dragons casting Blizzard. Although the original version of the game didn't have thunder and poison undead clusters, so I guess we got that going for us.
Okay.
It's not all bad, Trin. Or good, depending on how you look at it, I guess. Alright, Edgeworth picking up his Oxyale, which of course is required to enter the Sea Shrine.
So
definitely
you
a good...
rescue a fairy and she gives you some of her homebrew.
Alright, my boy Edgeworth.
Here we go.
40 minutes later, Going back to the place he tried to go early in the game where he forgot about the canoe.
That's gonna be the first thing you bring up to him, isn't it?
I have a text document opened on my desktop right now, and it is named Edge is dumb. And then when you open it up, it just says Ordeals Canoe ? So I'm looking forward to it. It's good stuff. I'm ready.
Alright, we didn't see too much from the Frost Wolves there. They are runnable when you don't have the giants with them. Like this fight right here, which has them, so you can't run. The Zombos will also not be runnable, so a couple things in play when you're here in Ice Cave. First of all, did Edge save before he walked in here?
I don't think he did.
Okay, because there's a very existing risk of a soft lock in here if you walk through too many pillars. So hopefully you pick up on the right path quickly. Okay, chat's saying he did save, and that's good because if you get to too many of these, you might reset and go for a different pattern. Question is, Will's behind as you think he is? I mean, maybe 10 minutes right now, but there's still 2 go mode items left, so
yeah, and even
I like to
10
say
minutes
advantage instead of lead.
Yeah, 10 minutes might be even a bit much, but it certainly could be that way. I mean, we've still got required crown and required slab that we have not seen at all, so at this point, Edge has got a little bit more levels on his black belt, sort of, but it's really going to depend on what the item is in Ordeals here, I think. And whether or not Will elects to grind on the eye at all.
Yeah, he did not see that fight yet. He did get the treasure out of here, so he does not have to do the fight. But Will has gotten as far as he has by being very consistent on finding a way to get that black belt's level up.
Yeah, he's definitely employed the black belt power grind strats very well. Boy, Edge has got to be crazy close to the soft lock. Yeah, he does exit out. He took a few bad teleporter turns in there.
That's interesting.
In the basic game, these teleporters are always the same, but in the randomizer, we have shuffled them around, so you really have to pay attention to where you're going.
That's interesting that he exited instead of saved, but I assume that's because he likes where he is in the RNG table more than he likes starting over.
Yeah, there is a little break at the beginning of this encounter table, but it's not excessively long, and there are several fights after the break, so...
Well,
or he might have just been
Zombies
frustrated.
Running for their unlife.
Yeah, chat is on point as always. But we might be overthinking it, Trin. He might have just been so worried about the soft lock that he just cast exit and ran back in without thinking twice about it. Which is certainly possible.
So while he works through the maze and Will works through a grind against this eye, let's go ahead and run through this again real fast. We started tonight with 2 forced party members. They are the Black Belt and the Black Mage. We found the floater in its vanilla location in the Ice Cave. Crown and slab still remain outstanding. We found the Mouse Immune, a ribbon, and the ruby in Volcano. Ruby will not be required in this seed because of finding floater. We did find the tail early as well, but I forget which chest that was. I didn't write it down. Spells have been pretty decent to them so far. They got Nuke at level 2, they got Fade at level 4. Still some major spells missing, including Invis 2 and Fast. The bottle is for sale in Crescent Lake. I don't think we've seen anybody pick that up yet. The boosts that are in play according to this round of the randomizer flags, prices go up to 400%, enemy stats can be as high as 300%, experience is 4 times plus 400, that also applies to gold. And weapons fixes are on, by the way.
That was a pretty tight, succinct wrap-up there.
And well timed for Edge getting to the treasure chests.
Yes, almost like you planned it, right?
I'll go with that. I am willing to go with that.
So we see Edge here. I don't know if he was intentionally wasting turns trying to get his other party members killed. Oh wow, those nightmares are nightmarish. Oh, wow. Was that like a 400 damage hit? Sweet lord.
That was pretty intense, and those guys tend to have pretty good evade, so...
Wow, that was
I wanna
nuts.
mess with too much of, and this is not the last time we see them. Did he just walk by that chest?
He might have. I was just trying to think. Did he open that chest? Chad, help us out. Did Edgeworth open up the chest next to the nightmare trap tile there? We might have missed it while we were going through the recap. Okay. It's already our tournament admin confirming he got the chest. All right, thank you.
All right. So that's a little unusual because you wouldn't normally go back in there. Oh, unless he was intentionally
Yep, he
dropping
knew
down
they
to
were
just his black belt for the zombie dragons.
Yep. All right, time to see if file strats would have paid off. Let's see what was in incentive ordeals here. Well, after we get past these annoying mummies.
Somebody tell him it's not October anymore. As in not Halloween.
God bless you, you're trying, Triton. I was holding in the laugh. All right, I'll give you credit. All right, we still got Will at work grinding on the eye over here. He is electing to keep his white mage alive. I don't know if that's out of fear of walking out. Oh, it was the ribbon and ordeals. Oh, no. And the zombie Ds are not super grindable. Unless he just got unlucky with his crits. Well, they're not casting any spells.
I'm not even sure I want to know how against the odds that was, because I think that was a pretty high percentage play.
This was an incredibly high percentage play. This is what, I mean, Edgeworth is better at this randomizer than I am, but this is where I would have gone. I mean, not just because it's ordeals. Wow, so that means the ribbons were very early in the chest distribution in this randomizer. I mean, he's not sad to get a second ribbon, but that does mean that we've got a crown and a slab still at large, and not in any incentivized chest. So I do like the choice by Edgeworth to grind out on these zombie Ds here. They are a little bit high health. He's taken some damage, but they haven't cast anything crazy. And since it's a fight that you cannot run from, it's also impossible to get ambushed by this fight. So it's going to be a pretty consistent way to get some experience here.
Yeah, and they seem to be doing less damage on average than the fires, so more experience, less damage. It's a play that makes sense.
So yeah, it wouldn't be a Final Fantasy randomizer tournament match if we didn't have grinding going on both sides of the screens. I love it. Although you don't see a zombie D grind very often. So that's always refreshing to see.
And the chat brings up an interesting question, because will you go to the Marsh Cave? The next logical play is to do Earth Cave because it is required. It just unfortunately is an ugly layout that takes a while to navigate through. Marsh would actually be faster, but less treasure chests, I believe.
You know, if I had to guess, actually, I would say that Sea Shrine might be the better place to go. At least if you're Edge, you're already set up with your Oxiel. So you're ready to go into the Sea Shrine. There are a lot of chests in the Mermaid floor, as opposed to, as you mentioned, the Earth Cave being a very spread out dungeon.
Yeah, a lot to be said for that. And also, didn't mention that they still have to go to the waterfall. So there is still those treasure chests that could potentially have something.
Something in chat I just wanted to point out. I don't know if I mentioned it incorrectly, but the part about ambushing, Edgeworth can't be ambushed by the zombie trap tile specifically because it's an unrunnable fight. Same with WillBloodworth, the eye you're not able to run away from, so you can't be ambushed by any of these fights. But that's not specific to trap tiles. That's just specific to unrunnable fights. So, for example, the Agama or Red D trap tiles in the volcano, since you can run from those fights, it is possible to be ambushed by them. So yeah, it's not unique to the trap tile itself, it just has to do with which encounter you're pulling. So it'll be interesting to see how high up Edge is going to elect to grind his black belt here. And I feel the same way about Will. I mean, he's keeping that Masamooned up white mage on this eye here.
Yeah. I don't pretend to be in the mind of either one of these runners, but my thought process is when I'm looking at that 1 hour mark, that would actually make me inclined to go higher with the black belt instead of lower, because at this point the extra fights for the grind are not that much, but the difference of 8 levels for that black belt could be.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point.
Or another way to put it, I think the risk of 4 or 5 minutes more of grinding versus the reward of those 8 levels, I think the 8 levels is more likely to outweigh it.
Yeah, I mean, it's especially with this is a round 4. We're getting toward the end of the tournament here, and enemy stats going all the way up to 300%. You could have a 600 hit point high absorb chaos in your hand at the very end of the seed, and a 42 black belt will do much better work against something like that.
Well, hey, just think about the carry that we just ran into and realize that the vanilla starting point of 6 more fiends lie ahead of us that were stronger than that. And we haven't even seen the waters. Boy, I've run seeds where a 6-pack of waters is at least as strong as a fiend.
Where every single water is like a mini kraken. Yeah, no thanks, that's gross. But yeah, there's this seed is still wide open for sure. The crown and the slab still being at large. I mentioned it before, but it's still true. It's going to come down to routing efficiency and execution, but also a little bit of luck. Whoever finds it first. So Edge's grind is going to pick up now, as chat did mention. These zombie Ds are going down in 1 shot now. Not only is it faster, but it's also sucking less heal potions out of his inventory. So all in all, this is a much safer grind than his crazy fire grind that he was doing for a while there. Of course, I'd say he's one-shotting the zombie Ds, and then he has a bad attack and doesn't one-shot him, so... Apparently I'm just the awful commentary curse tonight.
Anything else you'd like to curse at this point?
Okay, let's see here. There's no possible way that any one of these runners could win the lottery tomorrow and share half of it with me. I mean, that's not going to happen. There's no way that's not possible. Kappa.
Good luck with that one.
Hey, if you're going to go big, right?
Sure. As to why Will changed his party, I think he's actually considering killing off the white mage at this point, because the white mage will get hit more often than the black belt now.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it a little bit at the beginning of the race, but having them both in front and both in back is kind of interesting. With them both being in the last 2 slots, they have a pretty much an equal chance of being the recipient of a melee attack. If he really wants that white mage to die, he would move it to the very front slot. We got Ice Blue in chat bringing up a good point. The dream of Slab and the Crown Lock chest in Sea Shrine is still technically alive.
Yeah, for those who didn't see it, we were literally talking about that possibility in Discord about an hour ago. No, I'm sorry, about 2 hours ago. Keep up with my times. It was a whole day ago.
Again, the math, the late night math is just killing us.
Think Will have any gold problems other than where to spend it all?
You having grinding problems, I feel bad for you, son. I got 99,999 gold. And I don't know the rest of it.
I didn't even know there was a rest of it.
Yeah, I think if I'm Will, I'm thinking that I've only got 1 reviver in my party with a 300% seed. He might be leveling up this white mage with the thought process that he's going to want the white mage to have a higher hit point pool and stay alive more frequently. and thus being able to revive other members of his party. It's not a terrible strategy. Does give a little bit more safety in the terribly scary Temple of Fiends at the end of this race.
Edge is finished in ordeals, he is saved, and he has left.
So if you're Edgeworth, you've got a few different fights on your plate here. You can, or not fights, a few different locations on your plate. You can head out toward Earth Cave, as you mentioned, Trenton. Sea Shrine also available. You could be crazy and go decide to head over to Marsh Cave. I think that's it. Those are the three major locations. We don't have access to Mirage Tower and the Sky Castle yet because there is no slab. And all the rest of the Crown Lock chests are still Crown Locked because we don't have a crown.
Yeah, so I'd say his highest percentage play is probably what we're seeing here, and that is to actually go to the waterfall first, because you've got free chests up there, never pass up on those free chests, and then head into the Sea Shrine.
Yep, exactly.
And then you get to face the great question of, do you go Kraken side or Mermaid side?
Edge remembered to go revive his escape or exit caster too before having to walk through Ice Cave.
It's a good call, even if it's the waterfall.
Or a waterfall cave. Look, I knew what I meant, Trenton. That's all that really matters.
Hey, we're after midnight. These things are expected.
Well, I'm technically in Central Time Zone, so I have no excuse.
Sure you do. It rounds up to midnight.
I like the way you think, sir. Alright, so Edge making his way up to the waterfall cave here. As you mentioned, there are some chests in here, and you have to go here to pick up the cube anyway. It is not currently, or the cube is always in here. It has not been randomized yet in this version. So
yeah,
you might as well get it anyway and check out all those free chests.
Any NPC items, as I like to refer to them, if they involve talking to an NPC, they are not randomized. It is only the chests that are currently randomized. May change in the future, but for now, those are the rules we have. So you're always going to get the key from the prince. You're always going to get the orb from Astos. You're always going to get the boat from the pirate, and you're always going to get the cube from this robot. You know, the one thing I find about doing this waterfall cave, though, is I've gotten very used to running to the robot, but, oh, mud golems have thunder. That's nice.
Oh, jeez. Oh, this seed just keeps on giving. See, it's incidental damage and deaths like that are going to make Will's time spent on his white mage getting a little bit more hit points. It might bear some fruit.
So what I was going to say is I've gotten so used to running to the robot and using exit or warp to get out of here that in the rare instances where I find myself without either spell, it's like I don't even know how to get out of here. And we did have an out-of-bounds bat sighting, for those of you wondering.
I was wondering.
Well, now you know. You don't have to wonder anymore. It was just a very brief flash, but it was there. Oh, and those Paralisks had something awful, too.
They certainly did. Also, we didn't mention it, but out-of-bounds bad hype. The baddiest bad of any randomizer.
Nothing good in the treasure chest, so it'll just be the cube and you're out of here.
Yep. Kind of disappointing. I think for defense-wise, I just got about everything he could want. I mean, he wouldn't say no to a third ribbon, wouldn't say no to the white shirt to let him cast Invis too. But he's really going to just be looking for that crown on the slab, and that's going to be about it.
Other utility items he'd like to have, I mean, certainly the power gauntlet and the Oppo bracelet would be preferred items, but if you don't find them, you don't find them. And it looks like Will has finished his grind. I'm not sure how far apart they actually are on levels, although we've seen Ed more of the world with Edge.
Yeah, I think his black belt was 40, I thought I saw last time last time I looked at the grind. Which would mean his white mage is right around the same level.
And that's the same level as Edge's, so they both got that going for them.
Yeah, we'll have to see if those safety strats for Will are going to pay off or not. Meanwhile, we've got Edge electing to do left side all the way down to Kraken, part of Sea Shrine first. Not a terrible idea.
Now, I've heard a lot of people say that this is the better play when you just have one item you're looking for. Now, in this case, there are two items they're looking for, so it's a little bit different. But you have a warp out of here after you beat Kraken, and then you have exit for the mermaid side. Oh, by the way, Will's just getting his airship.
Yeah, we'll see where he goes. If he decides... Now, he's got a little bit more cleanup to do. And he also hasn't checked ordeals like Edge has, but he does have the advantage of having more levels onto his white mage. So if he happens to gamble somewhere that Edge doesn't and picks up some key items, this race could get interesting very fast. Ooh, there's the white shirt for Edge. A very nice
after
defensive
he picked up the opal bracelet, by the way.
Ooh, I missed the opal bracelet. Nice. Wow, and he's already got the defense sword too, so he's really set. I think the third ribbon is about all you're missing for the dream armor setup for his party.
Yeah, that's equipment you're pretty happy with. And maybe
Edge remembering he has chest to check. Is immediately greeted by one of the many unrunnable fights that you can get in this dungeon, unfortunately. Oh, turn 1, action 1 nuke out of the red mage. That's why I love him. It's not just the hats. It's actually mostly the hats. Meanwhile, we got Will making his rounds over to the Cardia Islands. Now, since he has already completed the grind, it would not surprise me to see if he turns in the tail and gets his class upgrade.
Yeah, I think that's automatic because as you're going to go to these high-level towns, you want full access to the magic you're able to get.
Oh yeah, and with a thief into a ninja and white and black mage class upgrades, there's a lot to gain and very little to sacrifice as far as time. So.
Now, those waters are something you definitely want to keep an eye out for because you want to see how bad or easy they're going to be. And they looked pretty tame there, but a lot looks tame against a level 40 black belt.
That is true. Is Edge going to pick up the meme sword of Vorpal? Come on, buddy, do it. You got this.
Doesn't mean you have to use it, but...
Yeah.
There's situations where it's not going to hurt you at all to have that.
Well, I mean, just like emotionally, I like having the Vorpal sword, you know? Just knowing that it's in my inventory just makes me feel better. It influences my play. It makes me make smarter decisions.
Okay, sometimes you just need the comfort strats. Here's the ghosts, another one of the unrunnable encounters.
Ghosts are especially scary in higher scalings of the randomizer because their base attack damage is already kind of scary high. So if the randomizer gets a hold of them and sets them to 300% attack, they can hit super hard. So only doing about 130 or so damage here, so nothing too crazy.
Another one of these things we haven't touched on is you see Edge has made it a point to hug the walls in these rooms. And there's power gauntlets, so he's pretty well set up for equipment now.
Jeez, only that third ribbon missing, I think.
But he hugs those walls as much as he can in those treasure rooms, and that's like the lava that we discussed. It keeps him from getting encounters.
Yep, and everything you can do to avoid wasting time in a race is what you want to do. Edge opting to take this fight. I don't know if he was looking for more experience. The Gershark eye combo is definitely high experience, so...
He's obviously got plenty for the black belt, but everybody else is pretty low. I mean, I like my mages to be at least level 20 going into Temple of Fiends.
Oh yeah,
Personal preference.
And a seed where the enemy stats can go all the way up to 300. You know, the more levels, the better, frankly. Alright, looks like we got WillBloodworth opting to go to Sea Shrine, but I don't think he's quite picked up his Oxio and bottle yet. Although I think he has the bottle. I don't think he's turned it in yet, though.
I think
there
you're
he goes.
Correct. But that's okay. There could be spells over here you want.
That's true. We'll have to crack the whip on our illustrious tracker, though. I think WillBloodworth does have the bottle. I don't think it's on his tracker. Ooh, life
See, there's
2.
life
That
2.
is a huge pickup.
And you don't need too many casts of life 2 to make a difference, but
No, well, his the grinding for Will on the white mage might be paying off because normally you do not get a lot of charges at level 7 magic, but with a level 42 white mage, you're going to get more than you might expect.
how many charges does he have now, actually? And, oh, by the way, Kraken won, and no telling how hard he's going to hit.
Oh, he's got Blaze. That's lovely.
Well, did a little bit of damage, but I'm more worried.
Oh,
Never mind.
paper thin Kraken. Wow.
Doesn't matter what you're
hopefully-
worried about when his HP is that low.
Yeah, he could hit like a truck, but if you sneeze on him, he's gonna die. Well, Edge will take it. So
Yeah,
that is
meanwhile, that's another orb.
the water orblet for Edgeworth there. But he's gonna head back in and check the mermaid upstairs, the sea shrine. He's gonna try to hit up those mermaids, get their telephone numbers, and then after that, he's gonna hope to find the crown or the slab up there.
Not necessarily in that order. But yeah, he's still missing 2 items. I would actually say crown is the preferred item because that means slab has less possible locations. If he finds the slab, then crown could go right down to the last possible treasure chest.
Also worth noting that I hope it's the slab, or I hope it's the crown because the that keeps the crown locked chest in Sea Shrine Dream alive. Do you want to go over what that is, Triton, since we've referenced it a couple of times now?
Okay. For those of you who didn't find it fun to go around examining every door to find out if the Mystic Key message was there like I did one time because I was bored, there is one room in the Sea Shrine, and it is that C-shaped room. Aegis Shield, that'll go great on your knight.
That we don't have.
Yeah. There is that one room in Sea Shrine that is locked by the Mystic Key. So you can't check it without having the Mystic Key, so if slab is there, you'll have to come back once you have the crown.
So that means that if the crown is on this floor, it is possible that the slab could be behind the door, so it would force a double dip. Wow, Edgeworth actually picked up a phone number there. Impressive. Took the time to talk to that mermaid. She must be the cutest one.
Now, would you consider slab being in that room more or less cruel than at the bottom of Marsh?
I would consider it more cruel because I think on a pure numbers basis, I would check Marsh first at that point. Because if it's in that crown lock chest in the Sea Shrine, it's the last place in the game I'm checking.
Well, you won't have to check for slab.
The dream is dead. So that slab pickup for Edge is pretty huge. Due to the chest density in Sky Castle, it would not surprise me that if Edge headed over to Mirage and Sky Castle right after this.
Yeah, now that does mean that there is many more possible chests for Crown to be in than Slab had the possibility to. And he's still got a couple treasure chests to check on this floor.
This floor is one of my least favorite floors in the game. It's very spread out, very disparate chest locations. There's quite a few unrunnable fights on this floor, like the one that Edge just got right now. So it's just kind of gross.
One hour, 23 minutes in, you're not in go mode. Are you worried your opponent is?
Yeah, I'd say if it's 1 hour 25 minutes and I'm still sitting at 2 lit crystals and I'm Edgeworth, I'm not feeling terrible, but I'm not feeling particularly great either. And WillBloodworth's right behind him. No, I do not believe that Will has been to Ordeals yet. So the time that he spent leveling up his white mage in addition to his black belt has cost him quite a bit of time, but he might get that time back if Ordeal or if the Temple of Fiends or some other place is particularly scary.
Yeah, now we know that it was a ribbon in Ordeals, so if he skips it, that is actually a chance to make time back on Edge.
That is true, although having invested so much time in his white mage and black belt, you really want a ribbon on both of them.
Still,
I do find it interesting that WillBloodworth is not going to Ordeals before Sea Shrine, knowing it's incentivized. It's not a crazy gamble, but it's definitely an interesting play worth pointing out.
And this could have been a conscious decision on his part to take a gamble by doing something he didn't think Edge would do.
Yeah, and a very smart way to do it also.
And it is still a required dungeon in that you are going to have to go through it. And he's going to be rewarded here with an opal bracelet and a white shirt.
Yeah, and he'll be picking up his slab once he does the top of this place too, so...
Yeah, for a doctor, he's sure obsessed with bacon. So
for a second,
in this seat was our very first chest inside Temple of Fiends. The flutter was in its vanilla location in Ice Cave. The slab we just picked up, it was hanging out with the mermaids in the Sea Shrine. The Masamune was in the volcano. We found a ribbon in Volcano. The incentivized Ordeals chest is another ribbon. The tail was in Matoya's cave. Ruby was in the volcano, but not required. Those were our major items so far.
Yeah, and I mean we're down to basically Marsh Cave, Earth Cave, and now with the slab we have access to Mirage Tower and Sky Castle. So Edge is getting low on places where his crown could be.
And you know what? I may have to revise my earlier estimations. I think the trolliest place for crown at this point might actually be Earth Cave. Because I know I'm doing Mirage first.
Yeah, you could be right. I still think that, like from a pure statistics standpoint, the chest density in Mirage and Sky Castle is just so much higher than Earth Cave. And you had to go through it anyway. Now, I don't believe Edge has access to Warp with his current party. Am I correct, Trenton? I think he's just got the exit.
I believe you are correct on that. If I'm not mistaken, Warp was like level 6.
It could be. I honestly just don't remember. But Warp does save you a ton of time if you have it in these locations, especially if you're checking Sky Castle, because you can go check a corner, warp out, be in the middle, and it saves you a lot of walking. Oh geez, those nightmares are just living up to their name. They hit so hard.
I did say it was not the last we saw of them. Yeah, Chad confirming Warp was at level 6.
That nightmare has it out for that black mage. Good lord. Meanwhile, we got Will checking out the chests over here. He already got his opal bracelet. He's about to find the power gauntlet. Yep, there it is. So he'll be happy to see that.
And he nopes out of that treasure. Edge nopes out of his treasure on the first floor, because it's really easy to go to the second floor.
Yeah, that is correct. We're going to be entering the less than greater than room, what we like to call it, in the second floor Mirage Tower here. 10 chests in there, pretty chest dense location. But there's definitely a lot more chests to check in here.
A little awkward to walk there, but really easy once you are there.
See, Will has the advantage that the Edge does not, and when he sees juicy, like high experience formations like the one he just saw with 2 Gersharks, since he's already spent all that time leveling up his white mage and black belt, he's way less compelled to spend time taking fights. But, well, I'm a liar now because he's taking the time to kill the big eye and the Gershark. So,
Well, who knows? Basically, what happened is he kept the white mage alive when he did the eye grind, which might have been driven by no other factor than we saw some nasty skills in the ice cave, and keeping the white mage alive allowed him to cast exit after he did the grind, which was far safer than walking out. Because we saw poison and toxic in the ice cave that he would have run into.
yep, and it definitely cost him as far as time goes. But depending on how ridiculously trolly Temple of Fiends is, and with a 300% skill range, it could be trolly. That benefit could come back and save Will a lot of time. Now, considering how far ahead Edge is just in sheer progression of the game, a full wipe out of Edge might put him back to where WillBloodworth would be in the Temple of Fiends. So it's kind of hard to tell whether or not that was beneficial or not, but we'll be finding out shortly here, I would imagine.
Yeah, and oh, by the way, we still have a Tiamat ahead and a possible war mech.
Time to see exactly how grindable these blue Ds are. Oh, I guess we'll never know.
I don't think you'd mess with it at this point.
No. It's always nice to know, like, hey, could I have grinded here?
Edge wants 42, I'm sure, but you'll pick it up incidentally along the way. Just from under.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Oh, wow, that is a scaredy eye. You gaze in the eye abyss, and it gazes back.
Nothing notable here. Edge is primarily looking for the crown. Ribbon wouldn't hurt, but not really essential.
Man, Seth is having a hard time living through these fights. Still, in terms of expendability, the Black Mage is the character that Edgeworth cares about the least. WillBloodworth manages to take down Kraken, so he'll be saving and heading back into the top floor of the Sea Shrine.
Yeah, if you weren't here to see Will's fight against Carrie, hopefully we have a clip of that in the Discord already. If not, it certainly needs to be.
It was epic. One of the coolest boss kills I've seen in this entire tournament, actually. Oh, the third ribbon pickup for Edge. Wow.
Now there's just realistically nothing other than the crown that I can even imagine caring about.
Yeah, I mean, he's got it all. He's got the Mass Moon, he's got 3 ribbons, he's already found the Opal Bracelet, the White Shirt, and the Defense Sword, and the Power Gauntlet. His wish lists have all been crossed off, except for the most important item that he needs to beat the game, which is the crown. So, as soon as he finds that crown, he is done checking chests. So you'll see Edge skipping this floor of the Sky Castle. The chests in the floor right above it that he's on now are a little bit more dense, a little bit closer together, so it's a little faster to check those, and then go back to that other floor if you need to.
I never wrote down pro rings being for sale anywhere, so picking them up is not horrible either.
I believe the pro rings were in Elfland. I think it was Elfland and Melmond were the gold bracelets and the pro rings.
Well, you don't want to have to go back there if you don't have to. Will gets the slab.
Solid pickup. Now, if Will is looking to do things that he thinks Edge would not do, it wouldn't surprise me if he went to someplace like Earth Cave instead of kind of the expected Sky Castle road.
Well, I mean, if your play was to come here thinking Edge is going to go to Ordeals first, you could still go to Mirage and figure it's the Earth Cave skip that's your... Not Earth Cave, Ordeals advantage.
That's true. Yeah, that's a really good point. You could very well be right.
To get a coherent one in there someplace.
Hey, I was trying to give you compliments earlier, and you were... oh, nope, it was a crown pickup in Sky Castle. Wow, was it Czar in chat that called the crown being in Sky Temple? I think he did. Our tournament admin, everybody.
Alright, so Edge is in go mode. I don't even think he'll walk 2 steps to pick up a chest at this point, not that there's any chest within 2 steps to pick up, but...
Yeah, we already kind of mentioned he's got pretty much everything he needs item-wise to finish this game. He's even got all the luxury items you can never really count on having. So at this point, for Edge, it's going to come down to just really effective menuing, smart battle strategies. And unfortunately for Will, he is going to need to make the play to go to Sky Castle right after this. And he's almost going to have to hope for a trolley Temple of Fiends revisited so he can take advantage of all the extra experience he put into his White Mage.
Yeah, you start eating some nukes and that could change things, but right now, Edge got to go mode at 134 and we'll find out how long it takes Will to get there as well.
The downside to if Will decides to continue skipping ordeals is that he will be out, the third ribbon, assuming he checks chests in the same order that that Edge did. But at least 2 ribbons for his black belt and white mage are all you really need. The third one is just a luxury.
How about this Tiamat living through round 1?
And a couple of nukes.
Ah, there he goes. And that's an orb for Edge, who still has to go to Earth, by the way.
Oh, it always feels so good to go through Go mode and Earth Cave.
Oh, yes.
Tyro, or Edge is on the side of Team Tyro. He knows that Tyros are adorable and cute and don't need to be killed.
I was waiting.
Interesting. Edge opting to do the class change.
I was waiting for Zar to unmute his mic to say something. He didn't. Thanks, Zar, for tracking tonight, by the way. And thanks, Speed Gaming, for hosting us for the Final Fantasy 1 late night edition.
Final Fantasy After Hours.
There you go.
So I think with the class change, I don't think Edge checked any of the shops in Gaia. But I think he checked the shops in Crescent, so he might be willing to fly over and pick up like Fast. I don't know if he'll end up picking up Life 2 like WillBloodworth did. We'll have to see how much time he wants to spend on these incidentals here.
Yeah, if I have already grinded and have Tail, I love to class change before going to those towns, because even if I don't have the charges on my mages, there's our gamble for Will. He's gone to Marsh looking for the crown. Unfortunately, we know he will come out empty with this.
Yeah, that's too bad. I mean, honestly, on paper, I really like this play by WillBloodworth. He knows he has to do something different in his mind. He has to do something different than what he thinks Edge won't do to pull ahead, but unfortunately, it just is not in the cards for Will. Now, he does have the advantage of having access to exit and warp, so this Marsh cleanout is not going to take like super long, but it's still going to suck time out of his bank, and it's time he can't really afford to lose if he wants to catch up with Edge.
Yeah, also with his levels, of course a level 1 bone is still picking a fight with him, but generally stuff should be running away from him here.
Would you say it's got a bone to pick with him?
And I think he's the one that's got a bone to pick.
Yeah, and having found everything else that's good, there's not even an incidental item that Will could pick up here in Marsh that I think would help him. Sometimes if you go out of your way to places looking for required items, you don't find them, but you're often rewarded with something else that's really handy. But I mean, we already went through the shopping list of all the good items in the pool, and they've pretty much already been accounted for.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, probably the best game item left unaccounted for is the Adamant. And Dragon Armor, which would go great on the fighter.
the fighter that none of them have.
Exactly.
Well, it's the immortal vampire, guys.
By vampire.
Cannot be killed. Wait.
Yeah, remember when I said Edge wouldn't even walk 2 feet to check a treasure chest?
You
That's
were
about as
lying.
literal 2 feet away as you can get.
2 tiles. Well, I mean, like I said, Edge has correctly identified that there's really nothing that he needs. He just has to go. I'd say at this point, Will's best hope is that Temple of Fiends is a non-stop troll fest, and we have seen runners in this tournament, like myself, who had a tournament loss determined by a super trolly Temple of Fiends. So anything is possible. With the randomizer rolling all the way up to 300% base stats, bosses can get real scary real fast.
Yeah, you can have any of the fiends getting max evade, and they are not fun to try and hit, even 40 plus black belt.
Yeah, I'd say the one advantage outside of the time difference that Edge has is that he does have 2 party members that can cast revive spells, which is pretty huge. WillBloodworth has tried to shore up that weakness by leveling up his white mage, but he still has all of his reviving eggs in one basket, unfortunately.
Lich is down. Edge is going to relight his 4th orb after these arachnids are finished with him. And there we go. 141 Edge completes restoring the orbs. And Will, unfortunately, has made another gamble that's not going to pay off. He's in Earth Cave.
I mean, I understand why he's doing it. It makes sense from his perspective for all the reasons that going to Marsh Cave made sense.
Now, there's a chance he's only doing 1st floor. But I imagine since he's here, that's his plan.
Actually, if he's only doing 1st floor, I really like this play, actually. I really like it if that's all he's doing. Because with the airship, the 1st floor of Earth Cave is not super time intensive to check. And then he could be heading toward the higher density locations in the Mirage Tower and Sky Castle.
This might be a first for me. I don't think I have ever seen a seed where not one of the Mystic Key chests is going to get checked. And I can't imagine Edge doing any of them.
No, there's nothing to be gained from it, unfortunately. Question in chat, what is a rough estimate for completion of a run? It's really highly dependent on the flags that you use, how high you're setting your scalings to. And it's also just dependent on what happens to get rolled onto who. But in general, I'd say with average flags and an average run, you're looking at anywhere from 1.5 to 2 hours on average.
And part of what made this one roll to the higher side when all is said and done is how much they had to search for the required items, which was pretty significant. Hey, there's the dragon armor. Look go great on
nice.
the fighter.
The greedy advantage for us as commentators is we get to see where all the other items in the game were. And Will getting just bat trolled.
I still think we shouldn't let trolls get a bad name like that.
That's just insulting to trolls everywhere.
Yes.
Although one of my favorite things in this randomizer is when the trolls roll a particularly nasty set of abilities and then you can get trolled. I enjoy that irony. Alright, so we've got roughly about a 143 entrance to the Temple of Fiends for Edgeworth. So Will's best hope here is that this is a non-stop slugfest for Edgeworth. So we're going to have to see how bad some of these enemies are, see if there's any gatekeeper bosses that roll particularly high stats and have particularly scary abilities.
One of the things I've always wondered is, how often do you figure that Lich rolled a bunch of really nasty stuff, and we just never knew it because he died too fast?
That's always the dream, isn't it? Lich, the least scary of all the fiends. Give him all the nukes and nuclears. And zero and like almost no hit points. That's the dream right there.
So goodbye to the Phantom, and we finally have a use for this item that's been clogging up our inventory the entire game.
Yeah, that door that Edge just walked through is the key-locked chest that requires the crown. There has been many a runner of this randomizer who has managed to get the crown, but forgot to actually do the quest chain to turn in to get the key, and then you get to that door and you realize, whoops.
It's fascinating the things you'll learn about a game through a randomizer, because you'd have no reason to ever little factoid playing in vanilla. You'd have to just go around checking every door at random to see the message to find that out. But apparently they were well aware of people doing sequence breaks back at the time, and they just put that in as kind of a fail-safe error check to make sure you had to play the game.
It certainly does make the randomizer much more of an interesting thing. Because without that one door, it would be just Slab City.
Hey, Opal Gauntlet, I think this game is trying to tell you should have had a fighter.
Well, between the two of them, they'll have checked darn near every chest in the game except for the crown-locked ones, so... Man, Seth has been doing his best impersonation of Dirtnap Dan throughout this seed quite a bit.
Dalphon, what are you saying about me? I told you that I did that one time when I was bored an hour ago. Of course, not everybody was paying attention an hour ago. That is, you can check those doors in vanilla. You can just, if you're looking at them, press A, and you will still get the Mystic Key message.
Question in chat, are the randomizers built to ensure the game is always possible to complete? That is correct. Entroper, the creator of this randomizer, has put in logic such that the seeds are always completable. So you will not find a crown locked behind a crown-locked chest. So there are definitely those sanity checks put into place to make sure each seed is completable.
As for what creates the hardest seeds to complete, max evade on any one of the last 3 bosses will not make your life a happy place. Especially if they roll high HP and absorb kind of stuff with it, but if you can't hit them, it's a rough ride.
Wow, Carry 2 just hits that black belt for a pretty solid 500 points of damage there.
Yeah, I think by the time you get to Kraken, that black belt better not be in the first spot.
No. I'm actually a little surprised to see Edge electing to spend all his heal potions here. Okay, yeah, he did stop a little bit.
Well, it looks like some folks have joined us from watching Zelda 1 Randomizer over on Speed Gaming 2. We welcome you to the Speed Gaming 1, where we are wrapping up this matchup of Edgeworth versus Will in the Zelda Randomizer.
You picked a good time to come in, because we're coming up to the crazy fun part. Fun, of course, in finger quotes, of Temple of Fiends, because we're about to see Kraken, which is one of the big bosses that can roll real scary in this race.
Yeah, this is one that can really ruin a run. Our runners had 2 forced classes they had to use. They were the Black Belt, which is now the Master, and the Black Mage, which is now the Wizard. Edge is in the final dungeon and about to fight one of the final 3 bosses.
Yep, and he'll be Kraken 2 is particularly scary because in the vanilla game he already has a lot of attacks and they hit for a lot of damage. But in the randomizer, with a potential 300% with this round of the tournament's flags, they can roll up to 300% more stats. So this Kraken can just hit like a truck.
Yeah, and he's moved the black belt to the last position, which is something I very much agree with, especially after what I went through earlier today.
Well, I was about to say I was surprised he wasn't using the white shirt, but Edge changed his mind and went that direction. Oh, Kraken's got nuclear! Oh no! Bye, Black Mage. Ooh,
All
that
right,
has
so
softened up the black belt.
Goodbye, Kraken.
Ooh. Nice hit by the black belt there. That's why you level up a black belt, kids.
Yeah, imagine trying to get through that fight without that big hit.
I mean, for all we know, there could have been a lot more scarier, spells and skills behind that first nuclear.
Worms are an unrunnable encounter on this floor, which has to feel really painful if you're getting nearer the 2 hour mark.
Oh no, the worms know ruse. That increases their evade by quite a bit. Worms are particularly weak against physical attacks and resist quite a bit of magic. So them casting ruse is actually very annoying.
Nuke will not be enough, but Nuke...
Ooh, they don't have very much hit points though.
There they go. They're one of 2 unrunnable encounters we have on this floor, not counting Tiamat himself.
We do see WillBloodworth taking the time to give his ninjas a nuke. One of the few advantages of, or rather one of several advantages of the class upgrade, is the ninja's ability to cast in black magic.
And by the way, I completely agree with the decision to go ahead and get the extra spells now. You've invested your time in these gambles that didn't work, so give yourself every possible advantage for the rest of the seed that you can.
Yeah, definitely. Meanwhile, Tiamat 2 did not melee for very much, and is now casting Lit 2, which is arguably one of the nicest spells you can see on any of these bosses for a spell.
But he is taking some hits, but not too much on the HP, so bye Tiamat.
Whew, that's the 4 of the 5 bosses in this Temple of Fiends down. Will's gonna have to hope that Chaos is absolutely ridiculous to be able to stay in this race.
Alright, here we go. Now 300% stats on this Chaos can be very brutal because you're talking about something that has base of, I think it's 2,000 hit points, so that's a lot of hit points at 300%.
Certainly is. Alright, Chaos, what do you got?
Interesting he kept the black belt in the second spot.
Yeah, I was wondering that. I wonder if he just forgot to move him.
I think the black belt missed. That's really high evade.
That was a straight up miss. Did he bother to put the power gauntlet on the black belt? I think he might have left it on the red mage.
Gotta figure if he had moved it, he would have started using it on the second turn.
Oh no, this could be interesting, folks. With this high evade at Chaos, depending on how many, because vanilla Chaos, like without any randomization, has 2,000 hit points, the highest by far of any boss in the game. So Edge is electing to cast these spells because he just can't get a hold of him with this black belt.
And I love it. He went for the Bane strats. Chaos
he's got nuke! Oh no!
And rolled really well with it.
Oh my god!
Got to heal his blood.
Oh no!
Black belt down!
Oh my god! Well, Will's dreams are still alive, folks. Oh my god! Max evade.
Wondered what could mess up a run. Here is your answer.
See that this will actually help out Will, because his leveled up white mage is gonna have more hit points to absorb more attacks. Oh wow!
And
yeah, Edge is
like
he's just throwing caution to the wind. He's like, I'm gonna die. I might as well get as much damage out with these spellcasters as I can, and just hope to God that Chaos rolled low health.
And I think that nuke was his second spell, wasn't it? It was light 2, then nuke.
I think that's correct.
So that means the next spell Chaos casts will be nuke, and that will rip his party. I don't think the red mage has enough hit points to live through it. Well, now he might. Nope.
Blaze is in the skills. It's skills and spells are 2 separate categories. Was that the last nuke charge? Oh my god. He's he gonna lit 3 to death Chaos? I love it.
Oh, if he pulls this off.
Oh, and he's got nuclear. Oh, and the boss just keeps on giving. Wow. Oh, that's it, folks. That is a wipe for Edgeworth. He's going back in for more.
Nuke and nuclear, high evade, chaos, probably max evade.
All right, I think knowing what you know now, knowing that chaos is just an unstoppable dodging machine, I think you're going to be a lot more careful about how many charges of nuke you use on the way down, because that might be your only, source of consistent damage against this boss. Wow, crazy. So yeah, that wipe at the very end on the very last boss has bought WillBloodworth much needed time.
Yeah, because it is not for certain you're going to go in against that fight and win it now, even knowing what you know. So, anything can happen at this point is what we're saying.
But, I mean, there's definitely a bit of luck factor, too, because with that high evade, we don't even know what Chaos's absorb is. I don't think anybody got a single attack off on that Chaos. So no, he could have high absorb, but, okay to low defense, or he could have high evade and really high absorb, too. I'm a little surprised that Edgeworth is not flying around the world looking for fast, because that would be a really good spell to cast on his black belt. It's easy to say that from the commentator's booth, though, because when you're in a race like this and you get all the way to the last boss and you die, the panic just grips your heart. And all you can think about is trying to get back in there and get it done again.
And think that I better remember to move that power gauntlet at the end.
Yeah, one of the advantages of the power gauntlet is, in addition to the attack damage increase, it also does increase your hit just a little bit.
Now,
could
by
be
the way,
enough to make the difference.
He never picked up Invis 2, did he?
I don't think he did.
As a spell.
But with nuke and nuclear on chaos, I don't think you can rely on the physical damage of evade just to get you by.
No, but he's got high attack too, so I'm just thinking you want every advantage you can give yourself. So he did pick up fog, didn't he?
Oh yeah, he has fog too, I believe.
So that may be something he has to pull out for this.
I have a feeling his White Mage will be busy casting Heal 3 to recover from all that AoE damage that Chaos is throwing out. Wow, we've got ourselves a race here, guys. Because WillBloodworth is very shortly going to find himself a crown, and he has just got to be staring at the IRC client waiting for that done for Edge and wondering why it hasn't come yet.
Yeah, I was just thinking, I wonder what's going through his mind here at 2 hours, and I think Will would finish regardless, but you're still alive. This race is not done yet, and first chest he checks.
Yeah, not bad.
So now Will is in go mode.
Yep, he has all items. Pickup for Will.
All items he has to find, he found. Oh, he has 7 charges at level 8, given his White Mage's level. I was curious about that earlier.
Boy, I think since he checked that left side first, though, I think he's missing out on his second ribbon. Oh, no, wait, no, that wasn't earlier in the stage. Never mind. Question in chats, did Edge wipe in the Fiends? Yes. The Fiends themselves were pretty tame, but we had a near max evade Chaos that had both nuke and nuclear in his skill and spell rotation. So Edgeworth unfortunately did go down there. Another question in chat, is buffing the black belt the right strategy for this Chaos? It kind of depends. Evade and absorb, or Chaos's defense, are 2 separate stats. And since the evade was so high, the black belt never actually connected with Chaos, so we don't know exactly what his defense is. But because the evade is so high, if the black belt's going to connect, he's probably only going to connect with 1 or 2 attacks. So even if the absorb is low, he's just not going to get a lot of licks in, basically. So I have a feeling that Edge is going to be real conservative with his spell charges and just try to nuke and fade Chaos down.
Will, meanwhile, is about to get past Tiamat. And this is going to be his 4th orb. So he will have to do the Crown Quest. And then he gets to make his run at Temple of Fiends.
Oh wow, is that some cowardly water we just saw there? Tyro!
I was looking at Will finishing up Tiamat.
Sorry, I saw an adorable Tyro on WillBloodworth's side and I got a little distracted. Alright, so we're going to be heading over to Kraken pretty shortly here. I don't think we saw a single melee attack by Kraken 2, actually. I think that Black Belt just kind of chopped him to pieces. Might not be so lucky this time around.
Alright. About to get our look, although I still wouldn't leave the Black Belt in the first spot for this.
No, he'll move him back. Yeah, there we go. And of course he gets a seafood party mix fight. Oh, and the hero run. Good work. Bane Sword strats from the Black Wizard.
$500 damage.
Oh, geez, Kraken. Oh, man, if Kraken goes first and melees the Red Mage, Edge is going to be in real trouble here. Come on. Oh, there we go. That could have been real scary. That's the kind of advantage that Edgeworth's party composition has over Will's, though. He does have 2 people that can revive. If that same thing happens to WillBloodworth, and Kraken just decides to turn in his white mage into a paste on the floor, there's not a whole lot of recourse for him. He just is out of revives.
Alright, so we're about to get Diamant 2. Of course, the rest of the temple isn't quite so eager to let you get there.
No. Wow, those nightmares were more afraid of him than the other way around. They shouldn't be, though, because they were hitting like trucks, if I remember correctly.
Chat says you've learned nothing about Commentator's Curse.
Beef, I actually am doing it on purpose because this has turned into an incredible race.
Alright. Will has done his quest. He's got his key, and... Did we actually mention that you have to have the key for Temple of Fiends? Because if we didn't, then yeah, you have to have...
Oh yeah, we talked about
key for Temple of Fiends.
Of course, with Final Fantasy Randomizer After Hours Edition, it all starts to run together.
All bears mentioning. And we haven't had one of these races in a while, so some things have to be brought up again for extra emphasis.
That is true. So speaking of which, have we mentioned that the key is required for Temple of Fiends Revisited, Kappa?
I don't know if it's come up.
We should probably...
Did we mention Zombie Dragons Run Runnable?
No, but let me give you a 5-minute speech. It's happening. Alright, so Edgeworth, getting through the quote-unquote easy part of that nightmarish Temple of Fiends, but he is forearmed with the knowledge of what exactly Chaos has. Now, if he takes another wipe here, it could be anyone's race. Alright, let's see what his adopted strategies are. Yep, he's going with these spellcasts. Oh, he's still gonna temper up his black belt. Interesting choice.
He is doing the white shirt. I like that.
Yeah, the white shirt's smart, because Chaos's melee still hits like a truck.
Only 169 damage, but that was 1 hit out of 8. We're actually 10 at this point.
We want this black belt to connect, just so we can see what kind of absorb this Chaos has.
Was that not the black belt who hit for the 100?
Oh, maybe it was. Maybe I'm just not paying attention. It's certainly possible. Ooh, and the white mage goes down. That's awful. That is the defense caster here. Yeah, at this point, Edge is just all out offense.
There's Blaze.
Oh, no.
And I think Nuclear is after Blaze. We also know he's got Nuke.
Ooh, stun was a good choice. Yep, making good use of that defense sword. I like this play by Edge.
Oh, he does have the power gauntlet on the
Yep,
black
he did
belt.
move it.
There's the Nuclear.
Ooh, a really good resist on Nuclear. That was some pretty low damage rolls there. Yep, see now those casts of the defense sword did get his evade up high enough to dodge that attack by Chaos.
Chat saying it was the black belt who hit.
Yep, 235 critical hit by the black belt.
That's not
Yep.
great, but it can eventually chip that down. And
Wow,
once you can do a couple power gauntlets and hopefully improve.
Yeah, this fight is still on a knife's edge though. Yep. Oh, geez, a near max damage roll Nuke against that black belt. Good lord.
Now, we have no idea how much HP this Chaos has. We talked about him having potentially higher. He can have lower than vanilla. That is a possibility.
It
So
is.
We don't know yet because we didn't get that much damage on him last time.
Yeah, we saw just over 1,000 last time. Oh, just another whiff. Boy, that defense sword could be the hero item of this seed here.
Yeah, at this point, you're really rooting for melee hits. Lit 2 is not the best sign because that means Nuke is up.
Yep. And this red mage is going to run out of heal charges pretty soon here. A little surprised that Edge is not elected to throw a couple more casts of the power gauntlet out. Oh no, he's got Gear 4! Oh my god!
That is your worst case scenario as a runner.
Oh my god!
Chat, give us some emotes. Give us whatever you got. Find an emote for the moment. The Y, the face palm, the whatever you got, give it to us.
Oh my god. So for those who don't know, Cure 4 is actually very vanilla. It is in the spell rotation of Chaos himself in the original game, and Cure 4 does, it heals for the entire portion of his health pool. Wow, I think at this point, Jesus. Wow, we could be here a while, Trin. I love it. More Final Fantasy Randomizer.
And rip the red mage. So he can get through one or two of this nastiness from Chaos at this point. It doesn't look like he's going to take any melee damage, so probably Power Gauntlet till you get the next ugliness hit, and then whack at it. Well, he's going to try now.
This is one of the worst Chaoses I think I've ever seen. And I've run... I mean, I'm not the most experienced runner of this game, but I'm probably in the top 20, and this is one of the worst Chaoses I've ever seen. Question in chat, is it possible to have an unbeatable Chaos? Nothing is unbeatable per se, but he might have to leave and do some more grinding. I think he got a good hit there. Didn't he get a 400 or 390 some damage hit on Chaos there?
That is, but that's not half of the damage he had before Cure 4, so...
Oh, that was really good. Nuke rolled 117 damage. That is not only a resisted nuke, but the nuke damage itself rolled low. So that's actually really huge, because Nuke can do up to 400 damage if it's max roll unresisted. 100 is the lowest it can go.
And there's the Cure 4.
Chaos Gear 4 again. Oh my god. So we need Chaos to not cast any spells, because his spell list includes Lit 2, Nuke, and Cure 4, I believe.
Not the friendliest.
Wow.
And Will still has this ahead of him. But he's got to be suspecting a gatekeeper as we're at 210.
This is absolutely incredible. I have never seen a Chaos this bad.
And a couple people in chat have said use Bane, and at this point that might honestly be your best play, but Edge says I'm going to go get levels somewhere. Or spells, possibly.
If I'm Edge, Edge needs to go find Fast. And I think that's what Edge is going to do. Fast is the spell that doubles the amount of hits that's available to your black belt. And that's really what Edge is going to need to be able to even touch this. To be able to touch this chaos.
He's come to Gaia where I don't think he checked the spells. He also didn't check the spells in Melmond.
Yep, this is a smart play by Edge. He's going to pick up Life 2 while he's here, because why not?
It's certainly not going to hurt you. There's another spell shop, though. He didn't check the 8s.
Shops in the back of Gaia.
Did not check the level 8s. Alright, Will. Coming up against Kraken.
Kraken does usual Kraken 2 things. Like, he'll turn somebody into a fine paste, but what Will needs to do is really just hope that his white mage doesn't get killed. Now, Will is coming into this fight with access to Fast. So it is possible that, he could get all the way through and have better luck at Chaos. And there you go.
There's Invis 2 pickup for Edge. So he is arming himself with some utility skills.
Meanwhile, we've got Will on his way to Tiamat here. Tiamat 2 was not particularly scary. The real gatekeeper is behind him.
Here's another little interesting thing to me. Will has Wall, which could actually prove useful. Very useful in the situation we have.
Yeah, since the Black Mage could be a significant source of damage with Nuke, having Wall on him to reduce damage from those spells could be a real game breaker. Or like real game changer, rather.
Hey, Edge just remembered there's more spell shops here.
He did, but still no Fast. I would assume that that's what Edge is looking for. And he's just got to be panicking. I mean, 2 hours and 10 minutes with no finish. 2 wipes on Chaos.
Well, here's the thing. You know how bad that Chaos is. So, really, unless Will got there with at least what you had or better...
for those wondering in chat, Fast, I believe, was at Crescent Lake. But yeah, you were totally right, Trin. I mean, Edge knows that Chaos is the gatekeeper. He also knows that WillBloodworth really likes his max level black belt strats. So let's see how he faces against Chaos. WillBloodworth does not know the horrors that await him here.
No, I imagine he's suspecting, but...
Oh yeah.
If you're starting to think scenarios in your head, well, maybe Edge took a wipe somewhere that you didn't. So there's options on the table. He's trying this black belt strat first, and he went defense first, which could prove very valuable.
Oh yeah, he's doing this the exact correct way he needs to maximize his chances of succeeding here. And Chaos being super kind of throwing out a skill first. If Chaos has nothing but skills, that's like one way these runners can win against him.
Well, that still means Nuclear coming up, so...
Well, of all the choices, Triton, that's probably the best one. Oh, Edge just having the hardest time with finding Fast.
Edge has gone to the most out-of-the-way places first. Oh, and Rip the Ninja.
It's alright, Ninja is probably the least important party member on the side of WillBloodworth's party there. And he did get the Fast off, and he's discovered the evade. So he's continuing to stack this defense.
Yeah, it makes sense. And he hasn't seen the ugly damage yet. And this Chaos is being uncharacteristically nice the first few turns.
Yeah,
Not
this
that
is
Will
nuts.
knows that yet.
Wow, even with the fasted up black belt, not a single hit connected. That is incredible. Nuke damage being resisted too. Yeah, WillBloodworth opting to throw out some power gauntlets. I like that choice.
There's Blaze. I'm not sure, but I think Nuclear is next of the skills.
It's certainly coming up soon. Meanwhile, I saw Edge fly. My eyes are glued to WillBloodworth's side, but Edge just leaving Crescent Lake, so he must have picked up fast there.
He's on a beeline. There's the nuclear.
Ooh,
Everybody
big nuclear
lived
hit
through
on
it.
that white mage. He needs to start throwing out some heal 3s.
Yeah, he was already preparing for the melee side of things with the white shirt. Now he knows it's not what he needs to worry about the most.
Okay, heal 3 is the correct choice. Yep, that's what he needs to do. Ooh, Dre with a big dodge. That could have been awful.
I'm not really sure if the right play here is to keep using the power gauntlet or keep swinging and hoping you crit.
Well, WillBloodworth has not seen the Cure 4 out of Chaos yet, so he's, as far as he knows, all this damage is sticking, so he's in for the long haul right now, I think.
Edge has some unrunnables with those gas dragons. Don't think we saw anything nasty out of them yet.
I think we're real close to the first round of damage that Chaos has done. I think we're in the low 1000s, which is about the most damage we've seen anyone get to stick.
Edge, Will, that is making use of this wall. That is exactly what we know he needs, although I don't think that Black Wizard is living through another nuke.
Man, if this Black Mage kills Chaos with Break, it'll be absolutely incredible. Ooh, a big 400 damage hit by the Black Belt. But we're coming up pretty close to this. If Chaos starts casting spells, WillBloodworth is in trouble.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Jeez.
Chaos still has 2 spells to get through in his list. He's got to go through Lit 2 and Nuke.
That melee attack right there on the White Mage, those levels that WillBloodworth put on that White Mage have already just paid off because that White Mage is still alive.
You want to talk about his odds on casting Break?
Oh yeah, so Chaos is technically immune, or rather resists every spell category in the game. But due to the way that the game determines spell accuracy, ooh, there goes the nuke, and the White Mage is down. Basically, these spells still have a 3 in 256 chance of hitting Chaos. So the odds are pretty low, but the Black Mage doesn't have anything else better to do. It'd be crazy for this race to come down to a few casts of a 2 out of 356 chance hit.
I assume he picked up the Bane Sword at some point. Oh, 700 damage! That is the biggest hit we've seen so far.
This is incredible.
This is the most damage we've had on Chaos. There!
WillBloodworth is just banging his head against the desk right now. That was, mid-2000s for hit points? That's the most damage we've seen anyone do to this Chaos.
Without question, we were at the highest end. No, we don't know how many hit points he has, but that was certainly closer than we've gotten, and this is some good damage he's laid up here. He's already over 800 again.
This is the power of fast. This is where Will's picking up his spells earlier is helping him. If Chaos just keeps working through this skill list like he has been, Will might have a chance. Oh, not if he keeps missing.
1200 damage.
At this point, you're just holding A and praying. Oh, and I'm really high roll nuke. That is not what we needed to see. Oh, man.
I can't get the hits.
Oh, no.
Takes the
Chaos claims another soul.
Well, now Will knows exactly what Edge knows. That
Will's like, oh, so that's why there's no dot done. And he's racking his brain. He's thinking, what? Is there anything else I can get? And I think the answer to that question is no. He's got everything he needs. He just needs better luck at this point, a better skill and better setup, I guess. He played that about as well as he could have.
Yeah, I mean, really the only thing to do differently is not do the Invis 2s. You'll throw the walls up early instead.
But with Chaos's really high physical attack, you still want to lay him down eventually. But I think the wall is more important. I would agree with you. I would throw a wall first on your casters and then start the Invis stacking.
If you don't have 4-piece, well, you probably This is interesting. Would you take the power gauntlet off the black belt, give him the white shirt, use that for your invis twos, then
No,
get
you
your walls
want
up?
your black belt to start putting out damage as fast as possible, I think. So I mean, these with fast available to Edge now, I think what he's going to do is he's going to fast up his black belt, because you know, if you throw the power gauntlet on like your red mage, if you're Edge, even with a mass moon, if it connects, it's still not doing incredibly good damage.
Yeah, I'm just thinking basically in terms of, would you convert the black belt at this point to a support character and go the spell strats?
Unfortunately, I think I hate to pull the rug out from the competition, but at this point, it's going to come down to your specific prep strategies, and honestly, it's going to come down to a lot of luck. What Chaos decides to do and in what order he does it in is going to make a really huge difference for these runners. Now, WillBloodworth definitely got back some of the time he spent early in the seed getting extra safeties and more levels on his white mage. And that made his first try against Chaos very productive. He did quite a bit of damage to him. But Edgeworth is coming back here with deeper knowledge than WillBloodworth saw most of Chaos's shuffles of skills. But this is gonna be nuts, man. This is gonna be really interesting. I don't think we're quite in the realm of no contest quite yet. This seed is or this Chaos is still beatable. It's gonna take some luck, and it's gonna take the correct approach. And both of these runners did approach Chaos in a pretty decent way.
And we have no idea how much hit points that Chaos has yet. Were we 90% of the way in? Were we 30% of the way in? There's
well,
just
I think
no way to know till we kill him.
WillBloodworth was right around 2,700 damage, if my math was correct. And Chaos base health is 2,000 damage. So at most, Chaos can have about 6,000 hit points. Now, it would be pretty cruel if Chaos had max evade, pretty high damage, a ridiculous spell set, and max health. But it's certainly possible, given what we've already seen.
Edge is about to get back to Kraken 2. And
this is one of the
as,
craziest races I've ever seen.
As we revisit these guys, it is worth noting that just because we fought them before doesn't mean we know everything there is to know. Once in a while, the second or third time you go there, they just pop out this thing you didn't see before. Now we know that Nuke and Nuclear are... Actually, I think there is one nuke on the table still, isn't there? I think there is. Could be wrong. But there's other nasty stuff still on the table as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is ridiculous. I mean, it could come down to a lucky Brack hit or something else.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to take that strategy, put your Bane sword on somebody, have Bane. You could have Bane on 3 characters, basically. A Bane sword, 2 people casting Bane, and just roll your odds.
that sounds so lame, but it's totally a strategy you could employ. It's so funny that the first 4 of these bosses are basically just like paper. Like, you know, Edge is just carving through these guys. WillBloodworth is doing the same. The real fight is Chaos. We should let Chaos move on in this tournament trend. This version of Chaos, just everyone he has to make a party to beat him, and if they don't, Chaos wins the tournament.
Would he have to start in the Garland bracket, or would he be in the winner's bracket? So Czar is advocating the mute strats. Trying to get mute on Chaos. If you do
it's
that,
my
plus get your
understanding
evade
that
up.
if you can hit with mute, can't you hit with? I mean, we're getting to some of the esoteric parts of the game here. Maybe Chad could help me out. If you hit with mute, could you not also have hit with a better spell like Break or Bane or something?
I think Czar is contending it's basically double the odds.
Alright, so this is third time Chaos for Edge, but this time he has access to Fast and full knowledge of what exactly he's contending with. So of all the attempts that Edge has made, he is the most prepared with this one.
Chat just gave me a great answer to my question. I asked if he'd have to go to the Garland bracket. They said, yeah, it's named after him. Their point is very valid.
Final Fantasy 1 lore. Alright, so we're getting
here's one downside for Edge. He never picked up Wall. Now he does have 3 ribbons, but still.
Yep, defense sword early is the correct play. We're getting most of our buffs off here. Stun is great. We want Chaos to cast nothing but skills.
Skills, or perhaps once the Invis is up, go back to melee.
Yep, that's another great option too.
Spell list.
I think you're going to want to throw a couple more shots of Power Gauntlet Edge. Yep, he agrees with me.
I have fought a max evade Chaos where I did, I think, 10 Power Gauntlets, and it still wasn't enough to reliably hit him.
Oh yeah, well, the one advantage to the Power Gauntlet is not only you're getting a small hit benefit, but you're also getting that addition to the attack, so that when you do connect, it's a more significant number. I mean, I think we saw WillBloodworth hit or connect with 2 hits once, and it did right around 800 damage. That's the most we've seen.
Yeah, we saw him doing single hits for 399. He did 2 of those in a row. This Chaos is still a great unknown to us. We don't know how hard he is.
Yeah, I mean, for all we know, he could be just over 3k health, or he could be twice that and be right around 6k health.
Stop, okay. Not scary.
Nope.
Giving you a chance, if not to prepare, to at least get this spell damage in. And as long as he's out of his spell list, you've got some rounds to pile damage on.
Yep. Meanwhile, we got WillBloodworth on Chaos Round 2 for him, and he's going with the Bane strats.
You know, I really just like making that part of your strategy, because you think about it, there's Nuke. Did he just do that before Light 2? I didn't see Light 2.
I might have missed it. Unfortunately, a high roll of Nuke followed by a melee to the White Mage does spell trouble, unfortunately.
Okay, Edge just got a hit for 399, so that's interesting, considering I think their black belts are different levels.
Okay, that's another pretty good hit.
There's the Let 2, that's what you don't want to see. He's in the spell list, and there's the Cure 4.
Well, we knew it was coming, and we spent a lot of those early turn possibilities of buffing. So having that Nuke go off after the Cure 4 is nice.
Will just got a 500 damage hit in there.
It did.
Tell you what, why don't you keep an eye on Edge, I'll keep an eye on Will, and try not to miss anything.
Alright, sounds good. Edge is right around 1,500-ish.
Still good health on Will's side.
Nuclear over... Edge's Red Mage goes down. Let's see here. Ooh, a big 800 damage hit by Edge. He needs more of that, and he needs more of it fast. Ooh, a 400 damage. That's about 12k. A little bit more than that, actually, because of the nuke.
Will, meanwhile, is taking advantage of the fact he's got that wall and using it on everyone. He's still got all 4 party members alive, which might be the longest we've seen that for anyone.
Oh, and a lot of misses over here on Edge's side.
You just know you're going to have to face that uphill battle when you've got an evade this high.
Oh, Edge has got to be getting close.
The ninja is down on Will's side.
Big hit. Big hit. Oh my gosh, Edge, you've got to be 1 or 2 hits away. Oh, 800 damage. Oh my gosh. Ah. Can he do it? Oh my lord. Oh wow, 3 in a row. That is it. The most ridiculous chaos I have ever seen in my life finally goes down. GG to Edge. Wow.
Chat, this needs more than GG. Give us whatever you got and spam it to no end.
Wow.
That is incredible.
Oh my lord. Edgeworth, he was so psyched he couldn't even stop his timer until afterwards. Edgeworth finishes with an SRL race time of 2 hours, 30 minutes, and 38 seconds. Oh my god. So that means Chaos had right in the middle of 4000s, if my math was correct.
Edge, what do you have to say for yourself?
Oh my gosh.
Hi guys. Enjoy that?
Chat hasn't calmed down yet.
How about that Temple of Fiends was pretty uneventful, right?
Yeah. A nice walk at the park.
Yeah, nothing really worth mentioning there.
No.
Wait, just the max evade, nuke, nuclear, cure 4, high attack power, mid 4000 health chaos. That's nothing.
No, I mean you just hit him with Bane, right? I mean
Oh man, your opponent was up against Chaos for the first time a little bit after your second wipe, and his Black Mage, he just started dumping those breaks, and woof, it was close. This was quite a race. I mean, Edge, you've done more races of this than I have, but at least for me personally, this is the worst Chaos I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, but I think anything that has max evade Gear 4 in the spell list would definitely qualify.
Yeah, I would agree. And unfortunately, WillBloodworth does take a forfeit there, and blame him because that is rough.
Start wherever you want, Will.
Oh, jeez. I don't know where to start on that. That was just a calamity of a seed.
So
Yeah,
Edge,
yeah.
I think had. Go ahead, Will.
I have to fix this, so I'm not coming through on
Okay.
1 second.
Well, we saw Edge take a couple wipes against that Chaos. In fact, Edge, you decided to make the trip out and get fast. Did you consider any other support magic, or was that the only one you had on your mind?
I figured I would get Cure 4 and then promptly forgot. But Invis 2 let me stack up a lot of evasion for the rest of the team. Turned out to not really matter very much anyway. Chaos wiped out the entire group.
Yeah, that was just a ridiculous seed. I mean, there's so much to talk about in this seed, but everything that happened early game was just completely overshadowed by the ridiculousness that was that Chaos fight.
Yeah, I'm sure. The right person won. I would bet my entire life savings that he was in the Temple of Fiends before I was, and I'm sure that had that not been a max evade Chaos, had he not had Cure 4, had this, that, and the other thing not been the case, then he would have won. So I mean, I don't feel salty about it. That's things happen the way they ought to have happened. And I'm just kind of I'm happy that I'm still sitting upright 2.5 hours into a scene.
Yeah, that was. I mean, let's run through some of the stuff that happened. I mean, you are correct, Will. Edge had entered Temple of Fiends before you did, but you made a lot of moves in this game that I really liked. Knowing your opponent and who you're up against, you made some really interesting routing choices that I liked. Checking out Marsh Cave with a quick dip and doing Earth Cave when you did, I thought were very reasonable plays. They just unfortunately did not work out for you well in this seed.
Right. Yeah, I figured I'll either live by the sword or die by the sword. He who dares wins, but it ultimately didn't matter. It really all just comes down to that chaos fight. Now, I was thinking in the back of my mind before I got in there, I'm like, oh, the only chance I'm going to have at this point, because I'm so far behind, I'm sure, is if you've got like a max evade, Kraken, or chaos, and I RNG my way through it and win, but that didn't happen either.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you entered. I think Edge had 2 whole chaos fights, and then your first chaos fight was actually right. You were right behind him, but your decision to level your white mage up, and the fact that you took the time to get fast on your black mage, you were actually way better equipped for that chaos fight, and you did more damage to chaos on your first round than Edge did in any of his first 2 entire wipes. So if Chaos had just a little bit less health, you might have actually ran away with that one. Like, I was really impressed. Like, that was just a crazy seat up and down.
Thanks. Yeah, if he hadn't pulled off those crits, I guess both of the fights that I was in, if he hadn't gotten those crits in on the black belt, 400 and something health, there's nothing I can do about that. Like, it comes down to RNG, and
a little bit at the end there for sure.
Yeah, and that's not indicative of skill. Like, Edge was going to win no matter what. If all things equal, if that's a fair chaos fight, Edge wins anyway. But had I won, that wouldn't have been indicative of me playing better. That would have been indicative of me getting better luck, better RNG rolls. So,
well, you would have set yourself up to be in a position to win. Don't sell yourself short, man. You still put on a really good show.
Thanks. Yeah, that was part of the reason I grinded up the white mage with the black belt. It felt like a total time sink at the time. I'm sure everybody in chat was like, "What the hell is this guy doing?" Grinding his white mage up with his black belt. This is like cutting that's doubling his grind time. And yeah, it did. But the reason was exactly what you saw. It was survivability. And I was expecting something like Kraken or Tiamat to be just an unholy terror, and I wanted to make sure that I had enough charges of heal 3, life 2, or what have you, in the event that they just went to the house on me. I want to make sure, like, if I get hit by Kraken, I have a chance to survive it.
Sure.
Was curious if that was an intentional strat at the time, or if you just did it to save that exit to get out of Ice Cave with the toxic and poison.
Yeah, that was part of it, but I mean, they both combined came together as a complete strat. It was knowing that I could get out at any time, and knowing that having a grinded up white mage. A lot of people undervalue having a high level white mage, but having access to high level heal spells in large quantity, having survivability against those pain in the ass bosses, that's a pretty good premium on a seed like this and 300%, and this proved it. So
yeah, I mean, we kind of sussed out where you were going with that white mage fight, and like I said, it almost made the difference for you in chaos. I mean, it was a knife's edge, that whole fight.
Almost, right? So Edge, how did it work for you? Was it just a punch out with chaos that you came out on top, or did you nail a bane?
No, I ended up. I pulled the old calculator out about how many casts of the saber I could pour overflowing.
How many was it?
I actually don't know. I think it was if my math is right, I stopped at damage. I started at
You're
cutting
sort of
out just a little bit, Edge.
Yeah, you're cutting in and out.
I think we lost you, Edge.
Uh-oh.
Well, let me ask you a question while Edge tries to get that fixed up.
Sure.
Will, you had an incredibly epic carry fight. You want to talk about that a little bit in the end of Volcano there?
Yeah, I wasn't too thrilled about losing my black belts like I did, but I just threw up that Hail Mary Quad X. Like, hey, at this point, 300%, given the damage I already did, she's got to be somewhere around 300 or less on the HP. So I just kind of threw that out there, figured, worst thing that can happen is I wipe, and, it happens. So it was just, good timing, I guess.
Yeah, no, that was well done to play your outs on that. I think it was eight uses of Power Glove.
Were you hitting for like 399 damage?
Yep.
Yeah, that's where I was at. It just worked out that you got a couple extra hits in probably that I didn't.
Yeah, sometimes I got 2 for 798.
I got 2, like maybe I think maybe a grand total of 3 or 4 times in both fights total.
Yeah, toward the end of their Edge, you had a couple nice strings of the double hits, and Chaos was going through getting ever closer to that Cure 4, but didn't quite get there.
Yeah, we
so
figured you had to be close on that last run, Will.
Yeah, I was imagining so. I waited for the Cure 4 cast before I went all out with what I had remaining was just the white wizard casting Fade and then heal 3 till she got unceremoniously wiped and then punching. And by that point I had already savored up. I think it had to have been 7 or 8 times with the Bonk Glove and the Tempers that I had cast in combination with Fast. I have a question for Edge, actually, a game mechanics thing. I've heard that a level 50 black belt has invisible hits that don't show up, like an extra 2 hits. If you cast Fast, it's really getting, I think it's like 22 or 24 hits. Is that correct, or is that just somebody not knowing what they're talking about?
I don't think that's the case. From what I understand, if you use the Power Glove, I think it's 1 more time on a level 50 black belt, he will get the extra hits.
Oh. That's interesting. I had no idea. It's it really just came down to RNG. And I hate when that's the case. Like if you were ahead by 20 minutes or 30 or whatever you were ahead by, I'm just going to guess you were ahead probably by somewhere between 10 to 15. And things played out the way they ought to have played out, then I'd be fine with that too. It's like the way that I gambled with that white mage grind was, it was built for this game, and then I still ended up losing on the RNG. But yeah, I didn't come into this thinking, I'm sick 75% of my day. I'm going to try and sit up for 2 hours straight and get through an entire seed because this tournament has to continue with or without me. I had no expectations of winning this game.
This was one for the endurance match ages, that's for sure.
Yeah, because if ever there was a worse time for me to have to do an endurance match, it was now. I'm very sick to my stomach and weak right now. So,
well, you still put on a really good show, man. Both of you did.
That was my hope. So yeah,
GG
now I gotta win.
Both of you.
Now I gotta win 2 in a row. Or I gotta face Czar. Oh boy, things are not looking up for me right now. But Edge has earned where he's at more so than I think anybody else has. He's put his time in. He's a student of this game, and there's never shame in losing to Edge. I don't care if you're Tristal, Kaba, Artea, Bra. I don't care who you are. If you're losing to Edge, there's never shame in it. So I'm not bitter at all.
Speaking of shame, after you spent all that time complimenting Edge, let me bring him back down a little bit. Do you want to talk to me about your early game ordeals play a little bit?
Yeah, so I was, there's this plate of chicken nuggets. Or there was a plate of chicken nuggets in front of me, and by God, they were delicious, like, with barbecue sauce and everything, and
right.
I figured, you know what, since I'm right over by Elfland, I could just go, I didn't even think about the canoe. All I could think about were chicken nuggets.
Oh, God.
So yeah, your opponent will went all the way from Elfland to Ordeals without a canoe. So I just thought I'd point that out.
At least I could reset back.
I've done that in regular races, but I've never done it in a tournament. So my shame is still secret. But yeah, I've done it. Not with chicken nuggets in front of me. You know, being vegan, it'd be something stupid. But I've done it. I've been distracted. Like, hey, I'm going to make an early Ordeals run, thinking I'm the smartest guy in the room. And guess what? Hit your head against the wall like you forgot you're trying to unlock the phantom door with the crown at the very end of the game.
Hey, there's no shame in the early Ordeals play, gentlemen. Come on.
No, none at all. No,
There's shame in that one. But
yeah. For that particular Ordeals play, there should be a lot of shame.
So you went there, Edge. What was in Ordeals?
It was a ribbon.
It was just a ribbon. Yeah.
I already had the other two, so you must have had all three.
Yeah, I ended up. It worked out pretty well. The Nightmare kicked the crap out of my other party members, so I was able to level on the zombie dragons.
I grinded the eye. I double grinded the white mage and the black belt on the eye up to level 40. I came in there, I think, at 21 or 22, or maybe a little higher than that, and I kind of pulled that strat out of my ass to see, to get a more durable white mage. It just happened to work out because nothing in Volcano was worth a damn. I got to 21 off of the red dragon, but you saw what the red dragon was like. It was just destroying things. So I didn't want to risk that too much longer.
I just ran from him because the Agama guarding him had a lot of nasty things, including paralysis touch, and I didn't want to level to like 42 and then get paralyzed by the Agama and just shotgun down by all the abilities.
Yeah, that's why I only went to 21 on the red dragon instead of 32 or 42. Because I'm like, I just want to be able to kill Carrie, get the hell out of here, and then check out the eye and see if the eye is a viable grind. And
so I didn't see that the fire elementals had paralysis touch until I went from 18 to 27, and then they stunned me, and I barely survived, and then left.
Actually, Edge, believe it or not, you actually saw a stun on the fires, and Trenton and I were wondering, wow, is he actually going to stay and grind this out?
Chicken nuggets.
Hey, by the way, real quick, there was a sub, and we didn't mention that. So let's say thank you, Tovad82, for supporting Speed Gaming, and thank you, Speed Gaming, for being such a great supporter of the tournament.
For sure.
Yeah, so unless you guys have got any other final words, I think we're going to wrap this puppy up. It's getting pretty late. So any final thoughts, guys, on this ridiculous scene?
GG, man. Like,
yeah,
that was anybody's. That was anybody's. Like I said, I came into this 99% sure you were going to win. I didn't think it'd be like this, and it's fine. So, I mean, I'm kind of already prepping for the Tsar match. If I'm going to come to this next one, whenever we get it scheduled, give it my best. Again, the same expectation. Like, I can't out-execute you. I'd like to, be positive and say I can, but no one who has seen either of the two of us play will ever say, no, Will can definitely out-execute Edge. I can't. I would need to get very lucky, go making an early marsh, early earth play, and barely edging you out at the end. But, it's... I'm just going to do the best I can next game and, hope that I push around 3. But, yeah, I learned everything I know about this game watching play. And, that's... if this is indicative of how far I've come in that short amount of time, then that's a testament to what I've learned by watching you. So, thanks.
Yeah, no, you've been doing very well. And from the sounds of things, you've been making all the right moves. Games, they just haven't paid off. Right. And then Temple of Fiend Simulator, whatever.
Yeah, that was kind of absurd. I was afraid, but I'll let this end here so everybody can get to bed.
Sounds good. So GG guys, that was the first of 2 matches. Like Trenton mentioned, we'd like to thank Speed Gaming, Feasel, and all the restreamers, everyone else who helped out. Make sure you follow these runners; they do good work running Final Fantasy Randomizer and other things. But that's it. I've been Files, and I was joined by my co-commentator Trenton.
I thought you were still Files. Good night, everybody.
Good night, all.